I'm just sick of. He thinks he's better than everybody else because he's got all these new shirts. You know, he's like, "Oh, I'm Joe Heschmeyer. I've got all these." He thinks he's so. Oh, we're live. Oh, I apologize. I didn't realize we had gone live already.
I'm gonna send him the link to this
Send it to him.
live stream. You know.
You know what made me think of that? I was on Facebook and I was watching Thomas Graff. He did he did a thing where he was talking to people at the creator conference, and Joe actually has a really cool looking shirt on. I was like, "Dang, Joe! Joe's bringing it in the fashion department."
I was impressed at some of his shirts because waking up in the morning, and you see him with the fresh shirt. It's like, okay, Joe, he's changing it up. He doesn't have that 18th century look anymore.
But I see Keith Nestor there too. Keith Nestor knows which side is his good side. He's got the tattoo coming out under his shirt right here. He makes sure that's in the camera. Pop!
That's the
pop.
I have a past, but I'm not going to talk about it. When the tattoo kind of like sticks out.
Oh, okay, Keith Nestor. We get it, man. We get it. You're cool.
What's up, chat? How's it going?
Okay, so we're chatting with people. We're raising money again for Catholic Answers Live today, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 to, what is that, 6 to 8 p.m.?
I think so, yeah.
Wait, I got noise coming through somewhere. Oh, I got audio on my computer.
He's being a boomer.
Sorry. So we're enjoying having some time before we do the pledge drive, getting to hang out with people on the socials. Is that dumb to say it that way?
You can say the socials.
You can?
You can.
Right.
You can.
Oh,
you can say the socials.
All right, you're not helping, I think.
No,
But look,
sorry.
I yesterday got mesmerized by the YouTube stream, watching what people were writing over there. Look, somebody did it again. Random Catholic Greek word, $20. That is.
What does he say?
It says, "Take my money." All right, Random Catholic.
We will gladly take your money, Random Catholic.
But he didn't ask a question. Like, is that a sticker that I'm looking at, or is that a
so when
chat?
When there's a comment, that is a super chat.
Super
if there's
chat.
a sticker, you'll see the sticker, and that's just.
So all the rest of this is just chat, but that's a super chat.
That's a super chat.
So really, I could just tune all the rest of it out and just wait for the super chat to come up, right?
You technically could if you wanted to, yeah.
So I don't. But Random Catholic and then Greek word didn't ask any question though or anything. He just said, "Take my money." So all right, Random Catholic.
We have a question.
Or she said, "I don't know." If
we have a question for Random Catholic. I'm not going to look it up. What's the Greek word mean, or what does it say?
Yeah. Well, I can. Let me just read it. It says octopus. That's the Greek word for octopus.
That's close.
Actually, to me, all Greek words are the Greek word for octopus. So
right.
I don't know.
Our good friend Big Stack's in there, and so is Haley, and that one Catholic girl, she's on there as well.
Oh, yeah, that one Catholic girl. We've met her a few times around here.
Yeah.
She's great.
She's on the Council of Trent Answers.
I think she's leaving herself open though to competition because someone could be that other Catholic girl. And then someone else could be that third Catholic girl. I don't know if she chose correctly because.
I mean, she's the original.
She's the original, yeah. But, like Apple Computer's the original. But look where they are now. Oh, wait, actually, they're doing pretty good. Okay, never mind. A bad example.
I see Samuel Rees is there, and I've never seen you there before. Welcome, Samuel Rees. And then Batman Inc. is there, and he's jumps onto the chat on occasion. What's up? And from Twitter, so not Twitter. Actually, I can say Twitter. Anybody listening on Twitter? There's 191 people chatting.
Random Catholic said, "Take more money." It's Theophilus, or is it just Theophile? Is what he's saying. So that's God lover. So Theophilus, the addressee of Luke and Acts. Oh, as you read in my last book, Theophilus. That's basically how Acts of the Apostles
and
starts.
he gave us another $20 because of that. With that, a comment.
I would like to say Random Catholic should ask another question. Hey, Tyler. Tyler's back with $2. I can't wait for the Saints Pray for You, GBY. Oh, what is GBY? Good. God bless you. God bless you all.
Thank you, Tyler. Thanks for that.
Wait, why does he say I can't wait for the Saints Pray for You? It's already out. It came out a while ago. Are we sending it to him?
Oh yeah, we did.
We did?
He called in yesterday. I think Tyler called in yesterday, and we sent it out to him.
All right.
I think.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it, Tyler. Are you going to make me do another ad from Gen Z today?
We are. That's going to be in a few minutes. I'm going to hold off. I actually want to tell you what I did yesterday. My wife and I went to the movies.
But you have a tiny little baby.
I know. We
just left him home with the dog?
I told him to make sure the house doesn't burn down.
Take care, Emiliano Maguire.
That's right.
We're going out. By the way, I would just like to say he actually named his first son Emiliano Maguire.
Yes, I
That's his actual name, Emiliano Maguire. I challenge you to find me a kid anywhere on earth with a cooler name than that.
That is a pretty cool name.
That's top. It's top. Emiliano Maguire.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, that's right. It's a
Lujano.
It's a total Chad move.
You don't
as
have a
kids say.
hyphenated last name, Emiliano.
I do no.
No, so it's Emiliano Maguire Lujano.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't steal his identity.
Lugiano.
Please. Lugiano.
Do people say that?
The weirdest name I ever got was Lueno.
Actually, Lueno is that. I'm going to call him that. Can we call him Lueno now? That'll just be his nickname. Like Bender is Bender, you'll be Lueno.
Actually, it's the deacon from my home parish could never say my last name, so he would always say Lueno.
Well, didn't I mispronounce somebody's name the other day on the air? I gave it an English pronunciation, and it was I can't remember. I was supposed to say it in Spanish, but I would just like to say I am monitoring Facebook, and 9 people are watching right now. So Facebook killing compared to what it did yesterday, and we got a little heart.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's all I can.
Stephanie says she just donated to CA Live Radio Drive.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Stephanie.
You're the
Appreciate
best, Stephanie. You're even better than. Let me go up a little bit. Random Catholic. You're not. It's not. We're not comparing. We're not comparing who's best, who's not best. We're comparing who gives the most. We're not doing that either.
We're not going to do that either.
That. Lueno.
Thank you. Do you want to answer Gary's question?
Oh wait, where's Gary's question? What is it?
If I were baptized as an infant in the Catholic Church but never attended, married, then divorced, then remarried, what's the process of joining the church?
Well, you're already in the church. You don't need to join the church.
If you're baptized, yes.
You're trying to get regularized in the church. So
Say more, Sam.
process for the joining the church is just exists, buddy. You've been baptized a Catholic. You cannot get out of it. Do you want to go back to practicing the sacraments? That's a different question, and I assume that's what you see. Because if there's one way of reading that, which would mean you had no formation in the Catholic Church. It says never attended, but maybe you had no formation. So the easiest thing to do is to go to a pastor, tell him your situation, and he will likely recommend that you do the OCIA, formerly called RCIA. In the future, we don't know what it will be called, but I can guarantee you they're going to change it again. And they might have you go through that. There are many ways to do this. It would depend on your pastor and what's available where you are. But like with all the married and divorced and remarried, okay, so there is a situation about they would have to know which of your marriage in the eyes of the church is do you have a real bond of marriage in? Okay, so, and I don't mean to say to disparage anybody's marriage, but the church says you can only form, as long as everybody's still alive, all these spouses, you can only form one bond of marriage. So which one is it? And once the church knew that, you would know how you have to proceed as far as receiving the sacraments. But you're Catholic. You are Catholic. If you were baptized, you are one of us. So get yourself a rosary.
Start praying.
Go to Mass. By the way, even if you don't go to receive communion, if you actually come to the awareness that you are a Catholic and you want that, you want to live as a Catholic, you have an obligation to go to Mass every Sunday. You got to go. So go to Mass. Nobody has to go to communion at Mass. So go to Mass and please don't forget Jesus loves you. All this is going to work out. Jesus loves you. Go ahead.
I gotta read Grimson's comments. The first comment he said was he's still waiting on Carlos' second album. He still wants a response to that.
Yeah.
And he also said that you're very feisty today.
I'm feisty.
You're feisty.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I will tell you this. There are a lot of snacks in the building, so it's possible that that's a sugar feisty. I might have a case of the sugar.
His blood sugar's up.
My blood sugar, no, my blood sugar is mostly sugar. My blood is mostly sugar. Yeah. All right, so I'll calm down with a little unsweetened iced tea.
A little dirty water. You know, that makes for a great stream, you drinking on the microphone.
That is good.
This is what you guys
Who put
tune
Jack
into.
Daniels in there?
That's supposed to be for after the show, Si, not for before. Actually, so I wanted to tell you. So I went to the movies last night.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And I watched, because I wanted to watch it, the Fantastic Four. And you said you watched a superhero movie earlier.
I watched Superman.
You watched Superman.
But I have not seen the Fantastic Four. But did read an article about the Fantastic
Okay.
Four, which made me think it might be a good movie.
It is one of the most pro-life movies
That's what I
I've
heard.
seen in a long time.
That's what this article said.
Yeah.
I can't remember where I read it, but
I'm not going to give any spoilers, things that are not already out there in the sphere, like, behind the scenes looks and stuff like that. So, the Fantastic Four, Franklin Richards is the son of Reed Richards and Susan Storm, and he plays a vital role in this movie.
is he
And
stretchy?
He's not stretchy. He's actually a genius, but he's a baby, so
He's a
doesn't
baby
know-
genius.
He doesn't know yet, but he plays such a vital role that I don't know if the creators of the movie actually intended to make this so pro-life, but you're watching it and you're like, I'm inspired to have, or at least for us, another baby.
Oh,
It's like-
how beautiful. Yeah.
But you're sitting there, and you're like, okay,
That's weird because the commentary I read was a Catholic writer who I'm sorry that I forgot who it was, and his whole point was, I don't know if they intended this or not, but this is the most pro-life movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So maybe they did intend it.
maybe
I don't know. Maybe they snuck it by the Disney people
they did.
who hate babies. No, I don't know that for a fact. I'm
don't know
just
that.
that
Careful
was
now.
I was just being
Get
silly.
demonetized on YouTube. Careful. So, my question to you is, what's your?
Wait, how do you get demonetized on YouTube? I don't know how to do that.
I'm not going to tell you because you're going to start pushing the line.
No, I won't.
You got to say some things about
It's not
certain.
that feisty. I'm not feisty enough to give up monetized. We get like 11 cents from this.
That's right, we are. Well, Catholic Answers is getting 11 cents from you're not getting anything, right?
I get the thrill.
I don't know. I think random Catholic's paying your salary based off of the super chats that he's giving
We've gone up on Facebook to 9 people watching now.
on Facebook. Okay.
Yeah. Oh wait, it was 9 before too. All right, so we haven't gone up. We've gone straight across to 9. We have 9 people watching,
People. Okay.
and still just one little heart.
Okay. Cool. What's your? I know there's superhero fatigue right now, but what's your favorite superhero movie that you've ever watched?
People will hate me if I
Say
say
it.
it. I really liked the first Ang Lee's version of the Hulk. I don't know if it's the best one, but I just wanted to say that I really liked Ang Lee's version of the Hulk.
You're gonna have to educate me. I have no idea. What
That's
you're
like the
talking about.
first one. It was years ago. It was even before.
Was that Lou Ferrigno or before that?
No, after Lou Ferrigno. No, after Lou Ferrigno, who was a great Hulk, though. And Bill Bixby, man. That guy, he was great. People don't appreciate how great Bill Bixby was. But no, it was after that. It was Eric Bana
Oh, okay, yeah.
played
You like that one?
Augie. Yeah.
It's a little weird.
That's what I liked about it. It was a little weird, but comic books are weird. And if you don't make it weird, it's not really a comic book movie.
The last readout said Kylie Griswold wrote an article about this Fantastic Four being very super pro-life or very
That's who it
pro-life.
was?
Yeah, Kylie Griswold. I don't know Kylie Griswold.
Wait, Random Catholic just said the smartest thing I have ever seen on the internet.
Don't.
The single greatest sentence on the internet. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can't see that. Read it.
If I can pay Cy's salary, you guys aren't paying him nearly enough. Nailed that, Random Catholic. You nailed that. Send that to the home office.
You can send it at Christopher Check at
yeah, Chris Check at Catholic.com.
Go. Yeah. I wasn't the biggest fan of that one. And okay.
No, nobody was. Everybody hated it. But my favorite Star Wars movie is Solo. So
Why?
I don't know. Maybe that's my second favorite. I think my favorite is the one where they all die at the end. I loved that they all died at the end. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to give it away. Those of you that have not seen a Star Wars movie yet, I ruined it for you. But Rogue One, I did like that.
Rogue One was good. That was probably one of the best one. Have you watched Andor? I know Darren started watching Andor. Did you get to season 2? You have to get to season 2. And
Is it or is it it's this or that? Like what kind of show is it?
it's a buildup from. Let me start from the beginning. So episode 4, Star Wars episode 4, the New Hope. The very beginning of that movie.
Star Wars Episode 1, you mean? Also called Star Wars Episode 4. But
Star Wars episode 1/4.
yeah.
So the beginning of that, is basically the whole story of the movie Rogue One, right? So it's like the lead up to it. It's finding the weakness in the Death Star and eventually getting the file to Leia. So the show Andor is actually about, what's his first name? Andor's his last name? I forget his first name. Do you remember?
Cassian.
Cassian Andor. Cassian, it's about his story and him being in the rebellion. So it gives you all the way the lead up. And the very last season, not to spoil it for you, I won't spoil it, but it butts up right until the beginning of Rogue One, which is so cool because then when you go back and you rewatch Rogue One, it gives you a whole new perspective of the movie and it makes it that much better. Yeah.
That's what I need is a whole new perspective on a Star Wars movie. That'll make all the difference.
It will.
All right, I'll watch Andor. I'll watch it. But do I have to get the Disney Channel for that? You probably do, huh?
Yeah, probably.
A lot of times. Now, you tell me about this. Is this moral or immoral? If there's a show that I really like, say on the Disney app or whatever it is, Disney Plus, I let the whole show play out. And then I get Disney Plus for 1 month. I watch the show, and then I'm done with Disney Plus. Is that a bad thing to do? Or, like, there's no rule against that, is there? Is it shady? Help me out, Internet. Is it shady to do that?
You're paying for it, and
That's the thing is I'm paying for it. I'm paying for it.
It's not theft. You know, it's you log on and you watch what you want to, and you get done. Gabe says the best one is Empire Strikes Back.
Everybody thinks that, though, Gabe.
All right, Gabe.
Everybody thinks that.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I don't think it's the best one. I really think A New Hope is probably better.
I like the one where the guy loses his hand. Which one is that? Oh, wait, every Star Wars movie ever made. Somebody gets a hand chopped off.
Yeah.
I like the one where they go, what was the thing they always say? That seems like a bad idea. Or what's the thing they always say in Star Wars movies?
I got a bad feeling about it.
I got a bad feeling about this, yeah.
Your friend Random Catholic says Solo as a favorite Star Wars movie, and now we've named 2 others that aren't Empire Strikes Back, is just cringe beyond cringe.
Well, we apparently don't belong on the internet. Excuse us.
And now Tyler said he likes Watchmen, super dark but amazing. Now, not the show. I assume you're talking about the movie that didn't do so well. Maybe I don't actually remember. Yeah, who knows?
Oh, somebody didn't like my spoiler alert that everybody dies in the end of Rogue One. Here's the thing about Rogue One. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but all the main characters, like the main woman, the main man, everybody that you come to love this group of feisty rebels, they all die in the end. I don't want to spoil anything, but every single one of them wiped out in an instant. So enjoy the movie. I hope that helped.
Where am I? Gabe says you're wrong, but I respect your incorrectness.
Well, all right. I think I should do the ad now.
You want to do the ad?
I think it's time to do the ad.
Okay, so if you watched yesterday, then you know what's coming. So I put together an ad, and by me is I collaborated with my good friend
Chat.
And this is Cy promoing something in Gen Z slang. So, Mary, give him the close-up shot on Cy.
And then I just read this, but do I have to hold anything up?
You don't have to hold anything up. You can just do your thing.
All right. Edgar Lueno wrote this.
Shouldn't have said it.
Hey, fam, it's your boy. Sorry. Yesterday, nothing cracked me up, but that's dumb. Hey, fam, it's your boy, Cy. Is that how you pronounce that? B-O-I?
Yep.
Ever feel like the faith is this big, beautiful thing, but kind of hard to unpack? Yo, fam, it's Cy Kellett. Big vibes incoming. The Catholic Answers Conference. This is 2 different ads?
It's the same one.
Oh. The Catholic Answers Conference is happening this September in San Diego. Theme, go make disciples. So yeah, we're not just talking faith. We're launching into full apostolic main character energy. And guess who's keynoting? Chris Stefanik. Man's going to have you hyped to evangelize your barista, your boss, and your group chat. We got Jimmy the Brain Aiken, Carlo Mr. Clarity Broussard, Joe Heschmeyer, a.k.a. Catholic John Wick, and yours truly, vibing, preaching, probably slaying heresies mid-air like...
It's an emoji.
Oh, it's an emoji. I don't know how to do an emoji.
Pow. I don't know.
Pow. Plus, chill Catholics, no cringe, Eucharistic adoration, check. San Diego Sun, check. Catholic brain power and vibes, quadruple check. Don't ghost this. Hit up CatholicAnswersConference.com and register now. This is your sign. See you in September. How'd I do,
I think you
Edgar
did great.
Lueno?
I don't know.
Is that good? Was that?
Mary is the most Gen Z person here. Mary, thumbs up or thumbs down?
She's
Shrug.
completely indifferent. Like, I could not care less about what you idiots are doing in there.
Okay, well, that worked. I mean, yesterday we had Gen Z crowd here, so that was a lot better. All right.
Well, one thing we didn't do yesterday is we didn't give out the phone number and the website of where people can go. Should we do that, or is that
Yeah, go for it.
abusive
Yeah.
of our friends visiting?
Become the
with us?
Night says, I'm still torturing Cy with Gen Z slang.
No.
He'll get it one day.
I thought I did pretty good. I can't read emojis though. I mean, I think that maybe we should have gone over that
Every time you see an emoji, just say skibbity.
Skibbity. 888-291-8000. If you pick up the phone and call that number right now, 888-291-8000, you can make your pledge if you want to. CatholicAnswersRadio.com is the other place you can go. It's on your screen, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. We fund this whole deal by asking people 4 times a year to give us help. And people always have done it. It sounds like a big number, but it is. If you understand media and what it costs to produce media, it's an insanely low number, $880,000 for a year. Hundreds of shows, hundreds of hours of programming, podcasting, all the other stuff, you make it possible. And I know we say this on the show all the time, but it bears repeating. We don't charge anybody for this show. So that is one of the great gifts of Catholic Answers Live. You got like the Jimmy Akins, the Tim Staples, the Carla Broussards of the world, and their stuff is going out for free to anybody who wants. So you're getting solid Catholic stuff, not just like the mid-level, but you're getting the top-level Catholic stuff for free
And
anywhere you want to broadcast it.
And all the new stuff that we're doing, including more live streaming, hopefully.
Yeah, and you've been doing some Spanish stuff. I know that we backed off that for a minute, but we're trying to just figure out how to pay for everything. But a lot of great stuff happening, and I feel really good about. It just feels to me, I could be reading the signs wrong, but it feels to me that since we did the big Eucharistic Congress last summer, something has changed in the church in the United States. It feels like something's moving in a really. We have all these articles now coming out about like how did Catholicism become cool, or when did Catholics become cool, and it's a. Of course, those are they're not going to be the deepest articles in the world, and they're not going to get what we're all about. But the fact that they're being written, something really cool is happening, and I think we got to be there with really good, solid answers for people.
Yeah.
Because one of the things we get, I mean, we don't talk about this much, but one of the things we get is like the TV show Botched. Have you ever seen the TV show Botched? Someone was describing it to me the other day.
Yes.
It's like people go to a surgeon and get bad plastic surgery or something, and then these good plastic surgeons fix it. They're like the plastic surgery fairies or something.
I try to watch that.
Is it awful?
It's a little.
But I feel
rough.
like our guys sometimes are like the surgeons from Botched. Like people will call and be like, they've had this. Someone on the internet said this thing, or they read this article, or they're in this kind of. They got caught up in this kind of. Argument that's going on, and our guys can often take that misinformation and help, put the proper perspective around it and help the person see what the Catholic position is. So it's like Botched for people's Catholic faith, and I do think that it's exciting when we get the non-Catholic, maybe even the non-Christian, who says, I came to the faith because it's also clear to me. But it's also exciting when we get a Catholic who's like, I was going down this angry road, or I was going, and I realized from Joe's answer or whose ever answer that the Catholic faith is not about that. That it's about something else.
It feels like that's one of the reasons why Catholic Answers exists, because, I think back in 1979, people were spreading that misinformation about Catholicism via tracts, which was, I guess, the social media back in the day.
Yeah, tracts were like that was like a tweet.
Yeah, basically.
It was like little Jack Chick track was like a tweet in those days.
And some nasty stuff on those things too. The Jack Chick tracks, they were just horrendous misinformation about what Catholicism was, and I mean,
but at least to go with it was really bad art. You had horrendous ideas, but at least it was connected to really bad artwork.
It all just comes together, doesn't it?
It came together to really. But a lot of people bought that. A lot of people fell for it because they don't know their Bible. They don't know their faith.
Well, and now that we have social media and all that stuff, we can actually dispel all these things, and not just do it in the slow manner that it used to be. Now it can literally be, somebody saying something nasty about Catholicism, and literally the next day or later that day, Trent's dropping a video or Joe's dropping a video, and it's immediate answer. So it doesn't give time for people to be like, well, this actually sounds really good, and I'm going to continue with this, but there's an immediate response,
Yeah.
and it keeps the conversation going. It never dies out.
Well, do you ever think that giving an immediate response sometimes is bad too, though? I'm not, like, what those guys do is fantastic, but sometimes I feel like there's just a lot of dumb stuff on the internet, and so you can't respond all. Like, I know Trent did a nice video responding to the guy who debated our cartoon. And my feeling was that I thought we should just say, we could cede to him, you are the best guy in the world at debating a cartoon, and you did great. And we should just leave it at that level. But Trent gave it an actual intelligent consideration of what the guy was saying. But what the guy was doing was fundamentally one of the dumbest things.
But if you think about it, if he's making a video about it, he's actually wanting for the public to see it.
Yeah.
Therefore, it lends itself to that criticism as well. It's the new public square, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
And one thing that I started thinking about today is this is the new modern way of debating. So you don't necessarily need formal debates. This is the new debate tactics, I guess, of the world today, where
you debate online.
You're literally just making essays about each other and responding in some ways in real time. So,
yeah, it's like the old days with the French philosophers writing little monographs that they'd hate each other in or bash each other in. I see that. But I also think we have to understand that most of the world is not moved by those things.
Yeah. Or so you think. It's always the quiet people in the back that are actually getting the most out of it because they're just listening. Yeah. And it's the people that are sitting there quiet listening. I mean, that's one of the things that they tell you in either a debate class is you're not there to convince the other person. You're there to convince the people that are listening. And it's usually the people that aren't saying anything are the ones that are more than likely to actually come to change their mind.
And they might not want to give in to the person who's arguing against the faith, but they need someone to buck them up a little bit to be like, no, you're not a dope for believing in the Catholic Church. I always think it's so silly when people if I understand when people say the Catholic Church is wrong, I don't believe it. But when people say you're a dope for believing in the Catholic Church, I'm like, no, I'm not. That's not an argument. That makes no sense. Some of the most brilliant people, some of the greatest societies have been Catholic. It's not a dopey thing. It might be a thing you don't believe, but it's not dopey.
Yeah.
Is St. Francis dopey?
Well, that's again the ad hominem attacks, right? That's just eventually there's no argument behind it, so you just start attacking the person, saying they're dopey in one way.
Don't attack people's homonyms.
There you go. Ignacio has been off the chain on Spanish here in the comment section.
Our community, Hispanic speakers, is, I can't read it, something great.
Which one are you reading?
They want more Catholic answers.
Hey, donate to Catholic Answers. Say you want more Spanish content, and then I can dedicate more time to that.
He's
stuff.
totally writing like a whole novel in Spanish right here. At times, I can't think of my...
At times, I think that if my parents had access to apologetical content in Spanish, they would have not fallen away from the Catholic faith.
That's a great point, Gabe. That's a great point. That's true for a lot of people in English and Spanish. But yeah, I agree with you. We if we can get the money together, we should do about 1 million more things in Spanish.
And you know what? The opportunities are there. It's just, it literally is always about time and money. That's always what it comes down to, unfortunately. But hey, yeah.
But it is, and people, we had a crazy day on the air yesterday where we couldn't tell if anybody was giving money at all, or we just couldn't tell what the numbers were. Then we were able to look at the numbers this morning, and it was actually a pretty good day.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we're probably too urgent when we're asking for money on the air, but the fact is, the more money that comes in, we really can do stuff with that. Like, Respuestas Católicas is a really good idea. And there are people who can do it. There are people like Edgar and William Albrecht, and and other Spanish-speaking people who are both media savvy and capable and well versed in the Catholic faith. And if somebody, is being kind of hounded or pursued by Calvary Chapel or something in Spanish, and they need just a few answers that will remind, like the Calvary Chapel arguments against Catholicism are actually not that strong. It's the fact that they're being made in such an insistent way with such a actually quite convincing invitation that we lose people. And when I say we lose people, I mean we lose people to the sacraments. They're missing out now on the sacramental life. Like it's not neutral what Calvary Chapel is doing. It's not a neutral thing. It's a bad thing that Calvary Chapel is doing to take people away from the sacraments of the church, the sacraments that Christ himself gave us. So we should never see that as neutral. And I think if Gabe's point is, if people even had a bit of Catholic argument would get into the mix, they would see, these Calvary Chapel arguments aren't that good. And actually I have something extremely precious in the sacraments of the Catholic Church.
Yep, that's right. So I want to kind of shift topics here. I found...
There's one topic we cannot talk about.
What's that?
No. Christine told us, do not talk about it.
Okay.
So don't talk about it.
All right.
Wait, unless you have a super chat that asks, what's the topic, Christine? I'll watch the super chat. You go on. I'll watch the super chat.
That's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Samuel asks, would joining the book club count towards the goal, or is it just one way or is the only way to count towards the goal through the main link? Do you know?
Oh, it's not even the main link. See, that's what we confuse people too much. The only way to count towards the goal is to go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. That one that's right there on your screen, CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
It's the link that we tagged on the top of the...
But the main link is Catholic.com, and that's confusing to people because you're used to going to Catholic.com. You go, I'll go to Catholic.com and make a pledge. Well, that gets counted in the general fund. If you want it to count towards the pledge drive and towards the match, you got to go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Yeah.
So maybe we could fix that at some point.
Gabe says, I find many Spanish speakers in the U.S. do not focus on reading because it was not encouraged. Sometimes videos work better. So this is something
That's true. The whole society gave.
This is one, before you get to that, before you get to that, okay? Man, you and Random Catholic. Are you actually Random Catholic on here?
No, but first of all, you gave us like $40 just a few minutes ago, Random Catholic, and then this is worth $5 to you to know the top secret topic we're not supposed to discuss because Christine told us not to. Christine, by the way, is the director of development here at Catholic Answers.
Before we get to that,
person.
I want to answer Gabe's question. So I've thought about this a lot. And in some circles, I would say you're right that it wasn't reading wasn't encouraged. But if you have to look at it where these Hispanics are from. If they're in the United States, I think the majority of the people in the U.S., they tend to be working physical labor jobs. And if you look at how much time they're spending at work, it's not 8-hour days. It's like 10 to 15 to 18-hour days. So there's not a lot of time or mental energy to be able to read a book. It's more, I'm going to turn on YouTube and relax that way because that's what everybody does, including myself. But if you're going to other countries, I think like Mexico or anywhere in Latin America, I think there's more an opportunity, especially the rural areas, the cities. You will find people that are actually read, and a lot more. So that's my thought about
I see. Yeah, because you're not coming here straight from college. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
That there's a kind of a self-selecting sample into the United States.
In general, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Does anybody want to guess at what the topic is? It's the most discussed thing on social media. She said, don't talk about it.
And we're going to talk about it.
But Random Catholic, I'm not messing with you. I'm grateful for all the money you gave us. Thank you very much. But I just before you gave us $20 just to tell us your name, and now it's $5 to find out the topic. But
he asked, so you have to tell him what the topic is now.
I'm going to, but I want people to guess. I'm going to watch on YouTube. What are you going to watch on? You're going to watch on Twitter?
I'm watching.
And we'll see if anybody can guess it. If a person guesses it, that person will be the grand prize winner for today.
We weren't restricted. We were just encouraged not to talk about it.
Brazil is the third largest social media user. That's interesting. It seems like bad news for Brazil. Agreed 100% with Edgar. I stand correct. Oh, okay, Gabe. All right. Not Spanish, but yeah, well, Brazil, right. It's Latin America, though, and the the phenomenon, especially of American evangelicals proselytizing, is just as present in Brazil as it is in El Salvador or Mexico or any of the Spanish-speaking countries. All right, at least according to Bender's data. All right, I'm looking for. Does anybody know?
Nobody guessed.
Can you guess the topic that Christine, the director of development, told us not to talk about? Do you have a quiz for me today?
I don't
Because
have
the
a quiz
quiz was
to
the
you.
best part of it yesterday. I thought.
I still have some of those quiz questions.
I
if
thought
you
it was
want
the
to ask
best part of it, but if you don't have a quiz, that's
them. Oh,
okay.
I got some quiz questions for you if you want to continue.
Well, if you can bring up a quiz, we'll do a couple quiz questions while we're waiting for people to
Okay.
guess what we're not supposed to talk about today. The biggest issue on social media. We're not supposed to talk about it
All right,
today.
You ready for the quiz?
Pay California to hire a Portuguese speaker. Oh, wait. Who do we know that speaks Portuguese? We do.
In
there
the
was
area,
somebody-
in the area where I grew up, there's a lot of Portuguese Catholics.
There was always a
lot
lot
of
of
them.
Portuguese Catholics here in San Diego because of the fishing, because
Okay.
they came over from Portugal and settled to fish. But I was just speaking to
lot of
somebody
dairy
else the
farmers
other
here.
day who can speak Portuguese. I can't remember who it was.
Speak Portuguese, Carrie?
All right.
All right, so
Do you speak English, Carrie? You're all right. Okay.
so first quiz question for Sai, and don't
And
okay,
I'm
don't
waiting
look
for people
around.
to guess what topic we are not allowed to talk about from Christine.
Sai, what was
Stop it. Stop it. No. Don't
Don't
say it.
What was the subtitle of Carlo Broussard's book, Prepare the Way? Is it
Oh, overcoming obstacles to God, the gospel, and the church.
okay?
I memorized that
Oh,
one,
yeah.
baby. I memorized that one. I have tried.
Stole my thunder.
I
man.
have done ads for that book so many times that I memorized it.
Okay.
All right.
This one's will be easy. Before becoming Catholic, Tim Staples was a part of what denomination?
Church of God.
No.
Baptist.
No, that's two guesses now. Assemblies of God.
Assemblies of God. Okay.
He was a youth minister. Youth pastor. Youth pastor.
Ute.
The Utes pastor.
He was a Ute pastor.
All right, one more for you. This one should be easy. Which Catholic Answers apologist frequently references the early church fathers to demonstrate doctrinal continuity?
They all do. I mean, Jimmy wrote the book, but
That's a good point.
I,
Now you're messing up my quiz. Like
I'm going to say Tim Staples. No, I mean, Joe Heschmeyer. I'm going to say Joe Heschmeyer.
Joe Heschmeyer it is.
But it could have been any of them. My guess is. Can I say this on the air? Funko Pop.
I think we got our answer in the chat.
Stop saying that. You're not supposed to give it away.
Okay, all right.
All right. Assemblies of God. That is right, Gabe. All right. Give me one more quiz, and then we'll talk about what is the topic that Christine told us. Don't talk about that on the air today.
Okay. Here it is.
Yeah.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one's a little more vague. What phrase from Trent Horn often used to describe his approach to debate and disagreement? A.
Socratic method.
A. Conviction with compassion. B. Truth and charity.
Mm-hmm.
C. Be charitable but not combative. Or D. Arguments not anger.
Gosh, I don't know which one. That's a really good question. I don't know. Let's go to D. Arguments, not anger.
Yeah, you got it.
That was a total guess.
Total guess.
because I'm glad I got it. But
Okay. All right. Say it.
Sydney Sweeney.
That's right. Sydney Sweeney. We were
She
told
said,
not to talk about Sydney
Don't bring
Sweeney.
up Sydney Sweeney.
All right.
Who, by the way,
Random Catholic guessed it.
I did read about.
And if it's that, I don't care more than $5. That was his guess. He said, "I would guess that Sydney Sweeney thing, but if it's that, I don't care more than $5." That's what we were told. Sorry, man.
Random Catholic. That's it. Yeah. Somebody said something about Sydney Sweeney, and then she said, "Please stop. Everybody's talking about this thing." She was.
You know what? Her,
I don't want to make her sound fussy, but she was not happy that it might be brought up.
it was such a dumb thing to talk about. The whole Sydney Sweeney thing.
Well, I am so old. I can remember when Brooke Shields had a Calvin Klein ad that got the same amount of attention. And this was way before
Was it
cell
all-
phones or anything.
Was it also about her good genes?
No, it was not about her good genes. It was. She said, "Nothing comes between me and my Calvins," and
Oh,
which I guess kind of was supposed to imply she doesn't wear underpants. So it became a big controversy. So I don't know why I don't know why that's exciting to people, but I don't know why the Sydney Sweeney thing is exciting to people. But yeah, every generation, some young lady makes a jeans commercial that everybody gets upset about. That's a rule of American society.
Hopefully that was worth your $5.
It was not worth your $5.
Sorry about that.
But we will put the $5 to good use. I
How about
promise you that.
We won't bring it up during the radio drive. How about that?
Bring what up?
Sydney Sweeney.
No, stop talking about it. Oh my gosh. Hi, Rose. There's Rose Staples.
Oh, hi, Rose Staples.
Hi, Valerie Staples.
All right, I have
See
one. I
Valerie
got
too.
one more thing for you before we finish this thing off. So I was going through the interwebs, and I found something on. So let me restart. Congressman Jeff Hurd from the 3rd District of Colorado introduces what's known as the Holy Sovereignty Protection Act to safeguard citizenship for American popes. So he wants to. It's actually just 2 paragraphs. Let me quickly read it. Today, Congressman Jeff Hurd introduced the Holy Sovereignty Protection Act, legislation to protect the U.S. citizenship of any American elected to serve as the Supreme Pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church. The bill prohibits the revocation of citizenship during a papal tenure and exempts the individual from U.S. tax obligations while serving as Pope, recognizing his unique role as both a religious leader and head of state. What do you think about that?
Well, I honestly don't know what is there some threat of this happening? Like I don't know what problem this is meant to address.
I honestly think this is one of those like, we're America, we're on top, but we're going to make sure you keep your
That's
citizenship.
our Pope. Yeah,
That's right.
Oh wait, so no, is it that the government can't take away his citizenship, or he can't renounce his citizenship?
It would be I'm assuming a automatic renunciation of his citizenship, because I think the current law is that he can't.
He can't be a head of another state and American citizen.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Now he could be.
He could be, and they wouldn't tax him or anything like that, and it wouldn't cause. I don't know. I think they're just trying to protect Americans from continue to be Americans and be the Pope at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like a very specific problem to address with a law. It seems like an awfully specific set of people that, like, maybe one time every 100 years this is going to come up. So he wants Leo to still be an American citizen, is what he's saying, which is, I guess, nice. But does Leo have to pay taxes?
At this point, I don't know.
I saw something that about if the Pope has to pay taxes, he makes about $350,000 a year. Does the Pope make $350,000 a year?
I don't know what his salary is.
I don't-
Does he
like,
get a salary?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, first of all, why does he need a salary?
It's not like he's going off on the weekends and like
I know,
I'm gonna go
right?
vacation to this.
Right. Like, I think if he wants a Netflix subscription, the Vatican could just pay for it, right? Like, I'm not saying that the Pope wants a Netflix. I'm just saying, like, he's taken care of, isn't he?
I mean, if he wants to watch Fantastic Four when it comes out on Disney Plus, he could technically do that.
Right. And
By
he
the way,
could get Disney Plus just for a month, watch Fantastic Four and Andor, and then not get it for the month after.
or he could just give the password to the Swiss Guard, and the Swiss Guard will watch
He
whatever
could
they
give
want.
the password. Hey, all you guys. So help me with this. Random Catholic gave another $20, which makes Random Catholic my single favorite person on earth today. Catholic Answers Live, bobbleheads or Funko Pops. Sell them for triple cost, and you've covered your expenses for millennia. Do it. Do you think that we would actually sell a lot of Catholic Answers
I
bobbleheads?
honestly think.
Where's the marketing people? Get them in here. We
I think
need a
we
marketing
should,
person.
I think we should give it a shot.
Really?
Bender, do you know how to create bobbleheads? Do you know how to create
I feel like
Funko Pops, customized Funko Pops?
Didn't we make a bobblehead of Jimmy once? Did we have a bobblehead of Jimmy one time? They made a cookie out of me. Remember when I was a cookie that one year? But what was Jimmy the year before? Was he a bobblehead? The cookie thing. That was not a good souvenir because people just ate them.
Random Catholic, I'm going to look into the Funko Pop thing because I think that would be really cool. Imagine that. Funko Pops of all of our Catholic Answers apologists, including Cy Kellett and even Chris Check.
We should do a show that's called Baby Catholic Answers, where it's Jimmy as a baby, Carlo is a baby.
The AI video thing that you're talking that was going around a while
Do
ago.
they do that? But like remember when they did Muppet Babies? It would be Catholic Answers Babies. It would be like Muppet Babies, but it would be Catholic Answers Babies. What do you think?
No, I think
No?
that trend is over.
All right. Yes, you can get them for free, Samuel, since it was your idea.
Actually, if we do end up making them, Samuel, you make sure you email us and then I'll send them out to you. But that's only if we actually do them.
I found your news story that you shared today very
Yeah.
confusing.
Why?
I can't figure out what it's trying to do. It's trying to keep the Pope American.
It's trying to
right?
allow the Pope to continue to keep his American citizenship, or else he would have to renounce it.
Well, what do you think of that? Like, what?
I'm telling you, this is just like a super American
Yes.
Chad flex.
Right.
Yeah, it's Chad move.
So we should. Well, it should have other things on there too, though. Like it should be, if you become Pope, you're still American. If you become Holy Roman Emperor, you're still American. Just stuff that people can't become. Like if you become the head of the Zulu, you're still American. Like a whole bunch of just. Then it would be a thing. Then that's a law. This right now is just it's just PR.
I mean, there's got to have a special. I don't know. Give you like a medal or something. At least get like an American medal or something. Hey, I'm an American. I'm the Pope. Thanks.
We could strike a medal for him. Congress could strike. Congress has the authority to strike medals, so we could make a medal for him.
And then call it the Catholic Sovereign of America.
Yeah.
And then eventually make him the monarch of.
But then what if he
the United States
doesn't
of
wear
America.
it? Then it becomes a controversy. You're really putting the guy on the spot here. And then Peru's got to make one for him because he's also a Peruvian citizen.
Yeah. Which,
But-
by the way, I saw that by law, in order for him to be the bishop in Peru, he had to become a Peruvian citizen.
Yeah, because
Or
that
else-
was they have a concordat, or not. Maybe it's not a concordat, but it's a legal agreement that only Peruvian citizens can serve as bishops in Peru. So
That's not the case here in the States, is it?
no, you don't have to be an American citizen to be a bishop in the U.S. No.
I wonder how far spread or how far wide that rule is across the countries.
Well, I mean, these agreements are made with individual countries. You know, like we have that agreement with the Chinese, where
Oh, yeah.
you can in order to be a bishop in China, you have to be approved by the.
CCP.
I prefer the word commies, but you can say you use whatever slang you like.
That's
but
boomer slang for you right there. Commies.
They are commies. So
We're politically correct here, okay? We say CCP.
I mean, sometimes you like to use the most formal term in these situations. So I sometimes like to say evil communist dictators, but commies will do in a pinch.
I remember going to mass at a parish, and the deacon would call himself a filthy capitalist pig on occasion whenever talking about the culture. It's like that's one way of approaching him. God bless that man, you know?
Well, but I don't know. Do you want to be a filthy capitalist pig? Because there is such a thing as a filthy capitalist pig. Like not all capitalists are, but that seems like
Is that corporatism or is that capitalism? Oh, we're getting into this conversation with Chris Check and
oh no, he'll come in and straighten us all out.
he is. Or we can ask Todd to come in here because he's a capitalist.
Like there were people who were filthy capitalists, and there still are probably people who all pig meaning they're just greedy. They just want. They're not, interested in building or, improving. What they want is money, 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 money.
Fair. Stefan wants to know how long does it take for the total raised to update? Well, how often are we?
Once a day. It won't. That I don't think so. Well, let's get Bender in here. Bender.
Hey, Bender.
I think it'll only be once a day, because I don't know that we have the wherewithal to do it. So you know how you put the total raised at 52,067?
Yeah.
When will that update?
When will that update? When Mary puts the number up. That's what.
Do we have a new number already?
I'm
or
not
no?
looking for the person who's going to do it. I'm looking for the time it's going to be done. So
Between the breaks. On
Okay,
that.
so the beginning of the
so
next
it
hour.
will. It'll update like in
Between the hours.
process today throughout the show.
That's the idea.
The last
Okay.
readout said that. So Sean Ovision joined a little late, and he said he didn't know there was another episode happening today. And the last readout responded with, "You haven't missed much, Sean. It's been mostly Sydney Sweeney talk so far."
It was not. That is not true. That's not true at all. All right. So let me ask. I only can look at YouTube. I can't. I can look at Facebook, but I don't understand what's going on Facebook. So it froze on me and all that. So I don't know what that's all about. But on YouTube, either Edgar or I has to take a break now. So who would you like to see leave and take a break? Vote for Edgar to take a break or me to take a break?
Well, either
first
way,
one to 5 goes. First one to 5 takes a break. On
all platforms? On all platforms?
No, first one to 5. It's me or
On
Edgar
YouTube.
on YouTube. So
Whatever name they put can go on a break.
whatever name they put goes on a break as soon as we get to 5. Greasy food is life, Chief. I am not going to disagree with you, Micah, on that. I have no idea what that means, but
At least
do
see
a
live
poll.
is entertaining.
LOL.
Hey,
I
you're
work at a
entertaining.
place called Burgers and Fries, Old 70 Burger Joint.
Thank
They're
you, Random
just talking
Catholic.
about food now. They're not. All right, Edgar got 1.
Oh.
Both.
Oh, they want me to
Edgar got
stay.
2. Oh, Edgar stays. Well, that's not what I said to do, George. I said vote for who you want to take a break. Edgar stays. Cy, thank you, because I want to take a break, people. In communist Russia, show breaks you.
You ever see those?
Oh,
memes?
the show breaks you. Oh, instead of you taking a break, the show breaks you. Yeah. I think Edgar's winning right now. He's up to 3. No, Edgar stays, so that's a vote for Cy. So it's 2 for Cy, 3 for Edgar right now.
Okay, if I stay, then I'm going to go on a rant.
Cy. Yep.
Of
3 to
my-
3. 3 to 3. Is that right? Go ahead. If you say you're going on a rant.
If I stay, I'm going to go on my rant of how I believe the Matrix and the John Wick movies are connected. How they're actually the same universe.
What?
So I can talk about that if you guys want me.
Is John Wick Neo?
I can't talk about it unless they vote. So
All right, so we got 3 to 3 right now. I can't vote. Why can't you vote?
it's because they like you so much.
No, Haley Luya is saying she can't vote. So I don't even think I counted the votes right. All right. Now people are just putting up random modifiers. Tyler put up the word good. What is that even modifying? Oh my gosh, Edgar goes. He does not want to hear. He's like, get Edgar out of there. I do not want the rant.
Look, I went on.
Cy? Okay, I changed my vote to Cy. Boom. Now I'm going. See ya. I'll see you guys back for the show.
Okay, I am so sorry, Random Catholic, but here I go on this rant. All right, so hear me out. So the reason this came up, I had a conversation with a couple of friends because I just recently discovered, and I didn't know, I can't believe I didn't know this was a thing, that Darth Jar Jar was a thing. Did you know about Darth Jar Jar?
See, this is what I was just telling them about.
Darth Jar. Okay, so Darren is is also a Star Wars fan. So there's a theory. I'm going to get into the John Wick thing in a second. But Darth Jar Jar, the theory goes that actually Phantom Menace, in Phantom Menace, the actual true villain that's above Darth Sidious is Darth Jar Jar. That Jar Jar is the key to the entire thing. That he's actually the true Sith villain. So we can get into that another day. Maybe we'll talk about it. So here is my theory on John Wick and Neo. So if you watched all the John Wick, the Matrix movies, you know that the program itself is always constantly trying to figure out a way to keep humans within the Matrix so that way they're not trying to wake up. They stay convinced. Neo is clearly a restless person, cannot stay in the Matrix because he wants to know the truth. He needs that fight against something. Do you guys want to close the door real quick so I can, because I can hear all the talk. So with that, at the very end of the Matrix trilogy, I'm not counting the newest one that just came out. At the very end of the Matrix trilogy, Neo offers himself up to completely get rid of Agent Smith because he's causing havoc on the system. And he ends up dying, but they still have his body. I think what ends up happening is they realize how strong, how powerful he is, how powerful of a battery he is, that they need to plug him in. But they know that his mind will not be contained in a world where he's just another programmer. So what does he do? They plug him back into a program where he is actually a retired hitman, and they have to cause havoc in his life because his girl already died in the original movies. So they kill off his woman in this new program known as the John Wick universe, and they give him a dog, and then they kick the whole thing off by killing off his dog. He needs that that anger. He needs that fight. So he spends the next 3 movies killing and massacring people, and that's the program. The program is literally just him going around killing people because if they don't do that, he's going to break out of the system. He's going to break out of the Matrix. And that is my theory of John Wick and the Matrix. I have more evidence for it, but I'm not going to go into it because I will be honest. I did watch a couple of the new the Matrix movies again, and the first John Wick movie, and it just reinforced my idea of this theory. Gabe says Jar Jar was supposed to be Darth Pelagius. It would have been so cool. You can see his mouth stuff that the Queen says as he's using the Force. I haven't seen that part, Gabe, but I'm very curious to see. Anyhow, Random Catholic. Now do how Ted is Neo and John Wick, but only use typological arguments. That's going to be for another day. Random Catholic. Thank you. Become the Knights. I got a round of applause. Saw you're back.
No, I'm just watching. I'm not here.
Okay.
I'm not on camera, so nobody knew until you.
Okay.
Why'd you do that to me?
Cuss.
All right,
I'm
I'm back. All
Okay,
right,
well,
whatever you want.
We have to prepare for the actual show. So if you want to keep talking to Sai, or we can just go to.
They could get. I'll still talk. I don't mind. It would be nice to chat with people.
Okay,
I find it fun. I don't know, like just to people type in things, and they're interesting and sometimes funny, and I like interacting with them. It's to me, it's a better way to do media.
Cool.
I like it.
I think too.
I mean, we could take calls, but calls is so formal. This is more like a conversation of, like just sitting around with people talking. Another cool theory is that Marty McFly dies several times during Back to the Future 2. Oh, I'll have to watch that one. What's your favorite Back to the Future movie?
Ooh.
Kinda.
That's difficult. That's difficult to say. I actually like all 3 of them pretty. They're all pretty even. I know the first one's a classic. You can never go wrong with that one. But yeah, I can't decide.
Wait, why does it say preach, Sai, preach? What was I preaching? Dog, nugget, become the knight. I don't know what you're referring to. Artsy nurse, it's okay. Me too.
But she said you're, or he or she. She, I see. Yeah. It says y'all are kind of nuts and laughed.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have to go and prepare for a call screening. So you guys have fun on the stream. And we're going to go into the live show here in a few minutes. But we're going to do this again tomorrow. So if you guys, you know what, ask your questions. Come on in. Oh, and
Let's do a full behind the scenes tomorrow where people can ask anything they want about Darren, about Bender, about
absolutely.
John Brasillo, about anything we do here. We'll just be like an open book. We'll share whatever. If they want to talk about Sydney Sweeney, we'll talk about Sydney Sweeney tomorrow.
I think at that point, Random Catholic is going to give you money to not talk about Sydney Sweeney.
Oh, Samuel likes the one where he goes back to the future.
The
that
one where
is
he
a good one.
Returns to the future.
Yeah, that's a great one, Samuel. Excellent point.
You know what? Become the Night. I love 1 is great, but yeah, 2 is there's something special about 2 of like actually going to the future is actually really cool. And
I am the weirdest person. I think I love Back to the Future 3. I think it's the best one.
Do you know why? Because they go back to the time of your childhood.
Yeah, right after the Civil War.
All right, guys, I got to go. Stay tuned again tomorrow at the same time for the pre-show, and then we can continue talking. All right, guys. See ya.
Peace.
Peace.
All right, so I don't see Jimmy yet. So are we just waiting for Jimmy?
Thanks, guys. We can go to the pre-show.
Hello and welcome to Catholic Answers Live. I am Cy Kellett, your host. Jimmy Akin, our guest this hour. It's Ask Me Anything. And you're welcome to call right now, 888-318-7884. If you've got a question about the Catholic faith or anything else you want to talk with Jimmy about, 888-318-7884. I will remind you, everybody's welcome. You don't have to be Catholic to call. You don't have to be Christian to call. You don't have to be religious in any way to call. If you have a question that you'd like an answer to, we would be happy to do our very best to help. 888-318-7884. That's it for that number for a while, though. I'm going to give out the other number because in addition to answering questions, as we usually do, taking calls as we usually do, we'll be spending some of the next hour asking you for your financial support. This is our quarterly pledge drive. Once every quarter, we try to be fully funded for the next 3 months. And in order to do that, our goal this time is $145,000. And what we do is we ask you to call up and make a pledge. And we got wonderful donors, two different matches for those pledges. So anybody who pledges in any amount today will be matched 100% up to $20,000. Any amount up to $20,000 this hour, 100% match. So you can call this number to make that pledge, 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000. You can also go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. There is a second match, and that's for anyone who can pledge $500 or more. If you are one of those folks who's got the means and are willing to pledge $500 or more, that will be matched a second time. So essentially, your money is tripled. 888-291-8000. I'll also let you know that early calls are very helpful. So if you're ready, and you don't need to consult with another family member or something, go ahead and make that call now. That will leave the lines open for folks later. 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Jimmy Akin is senior apologist here at Catholic Answers, the author of a whole bunch of books, including A Daily Defense, 365 Days Plus One to Becoming a Better Apologist. He's also the proprietor of Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World and the Jimmy Akin Podcast. Hello, Jimmy Akin.
Howdy, Cy Kellett, and it's good that we've got another fundraising drive underway. As you know, we try to really keep the fundraising to a minimum here on Catholic Answers Live. We only fundraise 4 times a year. We only do it for 3 days at a time, and we only do it for 2 hours a day. So that's 6 hours a drive, and that's a lot less than some groups that raise funds on the air like PBS and places like that. They'll go at you for a week or more, their entire broadcast day. But we really try to keep it to a minimum. And that means when we do fundraise, we really need to hear from folks. The quicker you can call, the quicker you can show your support for the show, the better. The number to call, once again, is 888-318-7884. And we really need to hear from you. In fact, as you mentioned, we have an overall drive goal, I believe you said, of $140,000 this time.
Yep.
And in order to reach that, even with the matches, we're going to need some people to make some larger gifts. So you mentioned we have a special triple match for those who are able to donate $500 or more, but we're going to need some people who are able to do more than that, who are able to donate $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000. And I understand that, when one's talking about those amounts, you frequently need to check with family members and make sure it works for you and so forth. And that means you need to be thinking about it now, because we're already on the second day of our 3-day drive. And so there's only today and tomorrow. And so if you do need to check with a spouse or something like that and make sure your banker or your stockbroker or whoever it may be, now's the time to be thinking about that. Now's the time to be doing that check-in, because tomorrow we are going to need to ask for people who are able to make those kinds of donations to go ahead and contact us. The number, once again, is 888 and Cy, help me out. This number, I believe, 291-8000. Yeah, we've got the wrong number on our whiteboard here.
I fixed that.
But it is 888-291-8000. You can also go safely and securely online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. That'll work on your laptop. It'll work on your desktop. It'll work on your mobile phone. It'll work on your tablet. It's designed to work on all those things, and it just takes seconds to get through, because we want to make it as easy as possible for folks to be able to support Catholic Answers Live and help keep us fully funded for the next quarter of the year. So please, 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
We know you tune in so that we can get Jimmy to answer questions, and so I'm not going to neglect that today. I'm going to try to let Jimmy answer as many as we can get done this hour, in addition to doing the fundraising. So how about this? Let's see if you will pick up the phones and call while I go to a quick question here with Jimmy, and we'll come back and I'll let you know how many of those lines we were able to fill up. The number, as Jimmy said, 888-291-8000. If you'd like to get the money matched, you can also go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. It all goes to the same place. Now, back right straight to the phones we go. Chance is in Wichita, Kansas, watching on YouTube. Welcome, Chance. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call. My question is regarding apostolic succession. Some quick background context. I'm not a Catholic currently, but am discerning.
Okay.
So my question is just pretty simple. What reasons do we have to believe that the kind of authority Jesus gave to the apostles in Matthew 16 and 18, and that we see on display in Acts 15, what reasons do we have to see that pass on to the next generation of Christian leaders? Was just curious, Jimmy, what reasons you would give to support that succession. Thank you.
Well, happy to help out, Chance. I'd want to do a more thorough review to give a complete answer, but off the top of my head, it seems to me that there are a couple of things I would appeal to. The first one is that Matthew 16 and Matthew 18 are the two passages where Jesus refers to his church, using the term church. These are the only places in the Gospels where Jesus uses the term church. And so these two chapters are definitive for understanding what kind of church Christ intended to institute. And he indicates that he's given both Peter and, to a lesser extent, the other disciples authority in his church. Specifically, he's given them the power to bind and loose, which was the authority. This was a Jewish idiom. People today aren't as familiar with it, but if you check Jewish sources, like, for example, the Jewish Encyclopedia that's freely available online, it explains that this binding and loosing was the ability to create and abolish laws of conduct for a community. So by giving the apostles the authority to bind and loose in the church, he gave the apostles the authority to create laws and abolish laws for the church. In other words, what's sometimes called merely ecclesiastical law. And his church is going to continue to need laws if it survives more than one generation. Now, to the first generation of Christians, it wasn't obvious that that was going to be the case. A lot of them thought that Jesus was going to return almost immediately, and therefore they didn't think that the church was going to go more than one generation. But God later revealed that it would go more than one generation. In fact, you have St. John in the book of Revelation acknowledging that there's going to be more than 1,000 years before the end of the world. And so the church was going to have to last for multiple generations. And Jesus indicated that the kind of church he was establishing had this rule-making authority in it. And his church is going to continue to need to be able to make rules and modify rules and so forth until he comes back. If you look particularly in Matthew 18, Jesus is discussing this rulemaking authority in terms of church discipline. He talks about, if your brother sins, you do this, and if he doesn't respond, do this, and if he doesn't respond, take it to the church, and so forth. Well, there are going to be Christians who sin against you in every age, down to the last age. So Jesus's discussion of what to do in those situations is going to apply not just to the first generation of Christians, but to all subsequent generations. So I think that only adds evidence to the fact that his church is going to continue to need the kind of disciplinary lawmaking authority that he invested in it in its first generation. So all that's the first thing that I would point to off the top of my head. The second thing I would point to off the top of my head is also in Matthew, but it's later in Matthew. It's in Matthew 28, where Jesus is given the Great Commission. And he tells the disciples to go into all the nations and make disciples, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them whatever he is taught. And then he says, and behold, he says, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. And he says, I will be with you until the end of the ages. And so that means Jesus is accompanying his church, and he's backing his church by the authority that's just been given to him. He says, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. I'm going to be with you until the end of the world. And so that implies that the authority Jesus has received is going to be backing up his church and its teachings and its ruling all the way down through history until the end of the world when he comes back. So I think from a variety of different passages, we have a clear indication that the authority Jesus gave to his apostles is not suddenly going to vanish. There's also a third thing that I would appeal to, which I often mention, which is that if Jesus determined his church needed this authority in its first generation, when it was just a tiny number of people, a few hundred or a few thousand at most, then it's certainly going to need authority when it's vastly larger. I mean, today, for example, the Catholic Church has 1.4 billion with a B people in it. And so if Jesus determined his church needed authority and these authority structures, even in its first generation when it was tiny, it's going to need them even more later on. So those are the two things I would appeal to off the top of my head from the text of Scripture itself, plus an additional practical consideration, which is the third thing I'd mention.
Chance, thank you so much for the call and for the question and getting us started off in a great way today. I do want to mention we're in the midst or right in the middle of our 3-day pledge drive. What you're doing when you give to Catholic Answers Live is you're making it possible for us to give this show away free to anyone in the world that wants to broadcast it. We're on hundreds of radio stations and satellite radio and websites and podcasts and people's apps and all that. And that's part of why we get calls from all around the world. And so that's what you're making possible is the free broadcast of the very best. Take Jimmy Akin, for example. We're not talking about second rate. We're trying to give the best, clearest, most charitable answers to questions about the Catholic faith. And you are making that possible. If you will pick up the phone and call now, first of all, two things. I want to say thank you to all the people who just called, because we started the show asking you to support this program, and about 10 people called right away, and that's extremely helpful. Lines are back to being open again now, so another great time to call, 888-291-8000. The second thing I wanted to say, and Jimmy, I'll let you know this as well, we had technical problems yesterday, so I didn't know in the course of the show if we were meeting our matches or not. And it seemed like we were not, but I want people to know, because we just always try to be honest with our donors. When we looked at the numbers this morning, we did very well yesterday. It was a nice, solid first day. So if we can continue to have 2 more solid days, we will be fully funded for the next 3 months and in good shape to keep giving this show free to anybody who wants to broadcast it anywhere around the world. So we've got that $20,000 match. Let's just use it all up. 888-291-8000.
And even though, we've made good progress yesterday, and even though we had a number of callers phone in at the top of the hour, which is very helpful today, we still need to make a lot of progress towards today's goals. Based on the numbers that I'm seeing, we've made less than $1,000 in the first 15 minutes of today's show, and we're working towards that $20,000 match. So we've got more than $19,000 we need to get there. So we very much do need to hear from people. The number, once again, is 888-291-8000. I'll say it again, the Cykelet way, or the new Cykelet way, so that people can hear it. It's 888-291-8000. I know that's not the number you're used to hearing, so I'll say it again slowly. 888-291-8000. You can also go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and donate there. And not a lot of folks actually end up doing that. We put this program out, we make it free of charge to everybody. And yet, if we measure the number of donors we have by the number of towers that we're on, AM or FM radio towers, there's less than 10 supporters per tower. And we're pretty sure that a lot more than 10 people are listening to us on each tower. So only a comparative minority of the audience is actually helping promote the show that they benefit from. So if you at all are able to help promote the show, to help it keep moving forward, to help keep it free for everybody so that it can reach as many folks as possible, like Chance in our first question today, he said he's not Catholic, but he's discerning. He's an example of someone we wouldn't expect to support the show at this point, since he's not even Catholic. Although I have to say, we do have supporters who are not Catholic. And so if you are Catholic, and even non-Catholics are seeing the benefit of the show and putting their money behind that conviction of this is a valuable show, it needs to go forward, how much more should you as a Catholic be willing to do the same thing? So please do give us a call, 888-291-8000. Now, Saya, I know we always have various thank yous that we want to send to folks who are able to support us. So why don't you tell us about the various thank you gifts that we have for people who are able to do that?
I'll tell you what, if you can make a pledge right now of $50, we would love to send you Andrew Petiprin's beautiful book, The Faith Unboxed. It's part memoir and part history and part meditation on the church, where Andrew looks at the church and says, hey, these are the boxes that we consistently kind of try to put the church in, and the church just won't fit. She goes beyond the boxes we put her in. So if you can come in right now at the $50 level, your pledge matched, so it becomes $100 to us, and we send you The Faith Unboxed. 10 lines open, 888-291-8000. If you could come in at the $250 level, we'll give you The Faith Unboxed, but we'll also give you Canceled, the book from the historian Steve Weidenkopf, 12 Catholic Heroes that History Turned into Villains. And on the cover of it, just for fun, is Marie Antoinette with a piece of cake. And she's not what you think she was. So if you want the Catholic view of some of history's villains, we'd love to send you that book at the $250 level. Remember, your pledge is also matched at the $250 level, so it immediately becomes $500 to us. Just 9 lines open now. Let's see if we can fill those up. 888-291-8000. Anybody at $500 or more, your gift is double matched. At the $1,000 and $5,000 levels, you become members of our higher giving societies, and those have benefits that I will just call and ask, and they'll tell you what the benefits of those societies are at the $1,000 and $500 level. Come in at any of those levels, just 6 lines open now. Oh, we're getting close to filling them up. 888-291-8000. Jimmy Aiken, our guest. Jimmy, I think we can just go back to the phones. If people will keep calling, I say let's reward that. Let's let people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's go to Megan in Connecticut, watching on YouTube. We're awful glad you're here, Megan. Go ahead with your question.
Hi. So I was wondering if when a Eucharistic miracle happens and both the substance and the actions change, would it be cannibalism to eat the Eucharist in that case?
So it's going to depend on a couple of things. Now, the church does not have a definitive answer on this. There's not a magisterial document that explores this question and gives us a clear and definitive answer. So it's going to depend on 2 things. The first thing it's going to depend on is what you define cannibalism to be. And the second is it's going to depend on what actually happens in a Eucharistic miracle. So to answer the first question, what cannibalism is, I would define it to mean you metabolize a substance that comes from another human being, their flesh or their blood. And it goes through your ordinary digestive processes, which starts in the upper digestive tract. It actually starts in your mouth, and then your body progressively takes apart that human flesh and blood and it turns it into substances that can be transported in your bloodstream, which is how we get nutrients from the food that we eat out to the cells of our body. It's via the bloodstream. So if what's happening, if you consume a Eucharistic miracle, and of course many people actually don't consume them. Sometimes Eucharistic miracles will occur and somebody spots the visual change before they put it in their mouth, or they put it in their mouth and all of a sudden it's not what they're expecting, and they'll take it out of their mouth and they don't consume it. That's, for example, what we have at the Eucharistic miracle reported in Lanciano, Italy, where the host reportedly, this was a number of centuries ago, but it reportedly became some kind of meat, which more recently has been identified as cardiac muscle, and it's not been consumed. In fact, it's still there. They also, I was just in Lanciano last month. They also have blood from the precious blood that has congealed and dried, where it looks like ordinary human blood. So in that case, the Eucharistic miracle was not consumed. But if someone did consume it and it was normal, natural human flesh or blood, and it was metabolized, then I would say that's at least arguably cannibalism. But that only leads us to the second question, which is what actually happens in a Eucharistic miracle. The way that this has commonly been articulated in Catholic circles is that initially you have wheat, bread, and grape wine, and then the reality that lies underneath the appearances of wheat bread and grape wine is converted into the body and blood of Christ. So you have a mismatch between the appearances, which still look like wheat bread and grape wine, and the reality, which is the body of Christ and the blood of Christ. The question is then going to be, well, if you have one of these transformational Eucharistic miracles, and there are other kinds, but if you had a transformational Eucharistic miracle where all of a sudden now you do have the appearance of flesh and the appearance of wine, is there still something miraculous going on? And this is something the church has not settled. It could be that the appearances, the new appearances of flesh and blood, are not corresponding to the reality of Christ's body and blood in a non-miraculous way. It could be that they're corresponding to Christ's body and blood in a miraculous way. And therefore, for example, the entire Christ under ordinary circumstances is present under the host and every part of the host. So there's not a natural correspondence there between Christ's body and the dimensions of the host. And the same thing is true by parallel with the precious blood. Well, okay, it could be that in one of these transformational Eucharistic miracles, that the appearance of flesh corresponds not to the entire Christ, but to just say a piece of Christ's cardiac muscle. In that case, you might have a natural correspondence between the appearances and the reality, or it might turn out that there's still a miraculous correspondence, that even though it appears to just be a, let's say, 4-inch disc of cardiac muscle, that really the entire Christ is still underneath it. And if that's the case, if there is a miraculous rather than a natural correspondence between the appearances and the reality, then you're not digesting normal human flesh if you digest the Eucharistic miracle. And so even though it might look like cannibalism is occurring, it's not actually occurring, because you're only digesting something that is miraculously linked to the body of Christ. It's not the actual body of Christ. It just is allowed by divine providence to much more closely emulate part of Christ's body. So I would say that this is an unsettled area, and consequently theologians could have different opinions on exactly how the Eucharistic miracles of a transformational nature work and what the exact implications of those miracles are. And I hope that's helpful, Megan.
Thanks, Megan. That we're coming up on the halfway mark of the hour, and we've got a long way to go. It looks like at least around $18,000 still to use on the match. Lines have opened up again. People have been very gracious. I must say, when we've asked you to fill up the lines, a lot of calls have come in. It looks like we are going to need to ask those who can make those larger pledges also to call. It takes everybody to get us fully funded here, both the large, small, and medium donations. So if you could do maybe $1,000, some people can do a $5,000 gift. If you can do that, would you pick up the phone and call right now? 888 291-8000. $20,000 dollar for dollar match. Any level you come in, it's going to be matched. And any gift $500 or more will be matched a second time. I have a corrected sheet here. Actually, we're at $15,000 to raise. We've got a half hour, a little more than a half hour, and $15,000 to raise. So 888-291-8000 is the number to call. Jimmy Akin is our guest. Because you've been calling, we've been able to go to the phones. We've been able to take some calls that would let Jimmy talk with folks. We'd love to do that the second half of the hour. We're taking a break now. We got about 2 minutes. Perfect time to call and make your pledge. Our colleagues are standing by. Please pick up that phone and call now. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000.
Will you do us a favor right now? Clear your mind of all other thoughts and reflect for just a moment on how Catholic Answers Live has made a difference in your life. Has our broadcast made your afternoon commute more meaningful? Perhaps you've learned how to explain the faith to family or friends in a more vibrant, convincing way. Something you heard here may have been just the thing you needed to look into joining or returning to the Catholic faith. All of these are serious reasons to be thankful, first and foremost to God, but also to all who have financially made it possible for us to air the show each day. Believe me, our gratitude could not be deeper. And we're coming to you today during our quarterly membership drive, asking you to join the ranks of the great people whose gifts and sacrifices have helped to turn around countless lives over the years, and, very possibly, helped make an eternal difference for many of them. Think about that for a moment. That's what your prayers and donations to Catholic Answers Live are doing. What a tremendous opportunity is being presented to you right now. Please don't let it pass you by. Call 888-291-8000 or visit CatholicAnswersRadio.com and let one of our fast, friendly customer service team members take your pledge. Large or small, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you call right now. Again, it's 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. We're offering some great appreciation gifts that are sure to deepen your faith life even more. But what's best is you'll have the confidence that when you turn your radio on tomorrow, or next week, or 12 days from now, we'll be here, boldly and charitably presenting the truth to a world that's searching for precisely that. Your pledge is vital to keeping Catholic Answers Live on the air. Will you make the call today to 888-291-8000 or donate securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com? Thank you so much in advance. God bless you.
Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. Jimmy Akin, our guest. I'm Cy Kellett, your host. Very grateful to all those who have called. We've got a long way to go this hour, but it is doable, especially if those who can make those larger pledges will come in as well. We're very grateful to everyone who has pledged in every amount, but we've got $15,000 of pledge money to use up, and we would like to make sure to use it this hour. We don't want to miss out on any of that. We were able to, it looks like, meet the matches yesterday. So if we can meet them again today, we're in good shape. A long way to go in just 30 minutes, however. 888-291-8000. For those just joining, it's our quarterly pledge drive. We've got $20,000 of match money this hour. Any pledge is matched 100% up to $20,000, 888-291-8000. If you are able, you can make a pledge of $500 or more. It will be double matched, 888-291-8000. Jimmy Akin, senior apologist here at Catholic Answers, is our guest. And Jimmy, it seemed like to me that first half hour, lots of people called, but the totals, we've still got a long way to go.
Yeah, we do. We're halfway through the hour now towards that $20,000 because that $20,000 match, that's just for this hour. We're going to have another match for the next hour. So we need to make $20,000 in this hour. Thus far, we've made between $4,000 and $5,000. So we're about 75%. We're about 25% of the way towards the match, but we're 50% of the way through the hour. So we need to catch up. And so the way to do that, and I'll say it slowly because I love you, the way to help us out is by calling 888-291-8000. And you can also, as I mentioned, go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com fundraisingtalk.com. One of the things I often talk about when we're doing fundraising is the spiritual principles involved in fundraising, because people often don't realize how much the New Testament has to say about fundraising, but it actually has quite a bit more than you'd think. One of the classical passages is in 2 Corinthians chapter 9. And 2 Corinthians is sort of one of Paul's hidden epistles. I mean, it's right up there. It's the third one in the Pauline corpus of writings, but people tend to overlook it because they focus more on 1 Corinthians. But there's a lot of really important stuff in 2 Corinthians that people miss out on. And one of those passages is found in the 9th chapter of 2 Corinthians, where Paul says, remember this, whoever, and he's talking in context of giving donations to support God's work. He says, remember this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. So he's using the image, from agriculture, of you sow the seed and then you reap the harvest. And so he says, if you sow sparingly, meaning you're stingy when you give money, well, then you're going to get a stingy harvest. But if you sow generously or bountifully when you are making donations, you'll reap a bountiful harvest. So Paul is saying that you're going to get back more than you put in. And he says each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. And he continues on from there, but the fundamental principle he's articulated is that God's not going to be outdone in giving. If you sow in a stingy manner, well, God will give you something, but not necessarily a whole lot. Whereas if you sow in a generous manner, God's going to be generous with you. And in the parallel passage to this, which is in Galatians 6, Paul even makes it clear that this principle applies to eternity. He makes the point there that if you sow bountifully, you're going to reap eternal life. So you're going to have an eternal reward. So even though, given $10 or $20 or even $100 or even $1,000 now, that may not seem like a huge amount right now, but it's going to result in eternal rewards that you will have for all eternity. And the way to get in on those rewards is by calling 888-291-8000. Once again, 888-291-8000, or by going to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Like I said before, now I see on our updated board, we've received a little more than $5,000, so we're now more than 25% of the way there, but we're also more than 50% of the way through the hour. So we really need to hear from you. 888-291-8000. That's 888-291-8000.
I am going to go back to the phones and let Jimmy do his regular job, but there are 5 lines open right now. 5 opportunities for you to talk to someone right here in the building with us who will help get you done real quick if that's what you'd like, or take time and tell them why you're calling and why you're giving. And if you'd like them to share that with us here in the studio, I'm sure that they will do that. 888-291-8000. All right, back to the phones we go. The other phones we go. Robert's in Los Angeles watching on YouTube. Hey, Robert, you got a question for Jimmy?
Hi, Jimmy. Thank you very much for taking my call. I'm a big fan, and it's been really helpful to me, so thank you.
My pleasure. Glad to be of service.
Yeah, I love your podcast as well, and I hope that you guys will definitely do the match, because I think Catholic Answers is a great service. So,
that's very nice of you.
Yeah. One thing that's not so mysterious as your podcast, though, Jimmy, is the book of Samuel, and particularly David's depiction in it. It seems like a skeptical reader reading the book would think that David is a ruthless and power-hungry man, and God is being used like a prop for his successors to cover for him. So do you have any thoughts about this in general, or I could give you specific possible objections?
Well, the more specific, the more I have something I can interact with. I mean, if we keep things at a strictly general level, I can make general responses, but why don't you give me some specifics?
Yeah, so first, that it seems like Saul is abandoned by God too easily. because his actions don't seem nearly as bad as David's with Bathsheba.
Okay. Well, this is something that depends on modern estimations of rightness and badness. It also depends on the assessment of the interior hearts of these individuals. So if you read the text of the books where Samuel and David appear, they don't present David and you say, what did the author of these books believe about these two men? They don't present the author or authors as viewing Saul as being a better person than David. In fact, Saul is presented as a quite flawed individual, and David is presented as having flaws too, but not on the magnitude of Saul. What David is presented as is someone who, despite his flaws, is very devoted to the Lord. In fact, he's described as a man after God's own heart. And so it seems that the objection that you're imagining someone making is one that must, of its nature, reject the opinion of the sacred author and is actually trying to subvert the sacred author's opinion and saying, oh no, we need to look at it some other way. And if you do that, well, if you don't have some other source of information, which we don't, but if you don't have some other source of information, then you're playing a game that anybody can play. If I can look at the only source of data we have and reject its own interpretation of events and just come up with my own interpretation based on my suspicions or ideas that are just speculative, that are not supported by any other data, then I could make anyone look good or bad. I could do the reverse and say of the objection that you're proposing and say, actually, the sacred author is playing down just how awesome David was. David totally kicked butt, and he was way better than this skeptical, cynical author of 1st and 2nd Samuel thinks. David totally rocked, and he was even better than Saul by orders of magnitude. Well, if I can do that, I mean, if your cynical objector can do the reverse of that without any basis in other sources, then I could do the same thing in the other direction. So I think it's ultimately a fairly useless game to say, let's detach ourselves from the data we have and offer new interpretations that subvert what's actually claimed in the data by making proposals for things that we don't actually have evidence for. At least that's what I do off the top of my head.
You know what? I'm going to leave that there. We've got to take a very quick break. We'll be right back with more, but perfect time to call 888-291-8000 and make your pledge, or go to Safe and Secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Catholic Answers Live.
The Catechism defines evangelization as the proclamation of Christ and His gospel by word and the testimony of life. But what does that look like in real life? It looks like St. Paul street evangelists out in the public square sharing the good news. We're a Catholic nonprofit that starts conversations by handing out free sacramentals. Then we employ our method of listen, befriend, proclaim, and invite. Catholic Answers is supported in part by St. Paul Street Evangelization. Visit streetevangelization.com to learn more.
Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. I am Cy Kellett, your host. Got to say, I'm having a really nice hour this hour. Very grateful to all those who have called to help support us. We're getting close to being halfway to our goal for this hour. As Jimmy was pointing out, we're well past halfway as far as the timing goes. But in the next 20 minutes, we need about $12,000 to be fully funded this hour. So continue to call 888-291-8000. There is a match for everyone who gives in any amount. You are matched 100% until we use up that $20,000. 888-291-8000. And for those who can do $500 or more, there's a second match, and so your money will essentially be tripled. 888-291-8000. Chris Check, president of Catholic Answers, in studio with us. Hello, Chris Check.
Cy, Jimmy, I was in the production booth listening to Jimmy, of course, give Excellent scriptural justifications for giving. And you know what really strikes me there, my friends, is Jimmy's point, or Scripture's point, I should say. God is not going to abandon you. I know every time I think about giving, I'm always a little bit nervous, like, oh, well, if I make this kind of sacrificial gift, then what will befall me? I won't be able to pay my bills, or I won't be able to go get a coffee or whatever it is. And of course, none of these things ever come to pass. They do not. God always takes care of us just as he says he does. And as Jimmy's point, Scripture's point, the more abundantly we give, the more abundantly we are rewarded. And it can sound a lot like when Jimmy's saying that, okay, well, we want you to give to Catholic Answers. In fact, that happens to be true. We do want you to support Catholic Answers. 888-291-8000. But my friends, I want you to understand, acts of charity benefit first the giver, the person who is doing the act of charity. That is the person who most benefits. We will benefit.
In fact, Chris, check. I have it on fairly high authority. At least I've heard it rumored that it's better to give than to receive.
Yes, I'm going to go with Jimmy because he has a command of authorities. So 888-291-8000, my friends. You're helping yourself. You are helping yourself in your spiritual life. You're helping the mystical body of Christ. You're helping Catholic Answers, of course. You're helping the mystical body of Christ. You're helping to bring souls to the fullness of the love and mercy of Jesus Christ, to the grace of his sacraments, to the fullness of his truth. There are 8 lines open right now, so let's get that down to 0. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000. Cy, it's true. Just tell me if I'm wrong. If anybody who makes a gift of $500 or more, that gift is tripled.
That is true. That is exactly where we are
So
right
that's
now.
just stunning. So 500 is 1,500 to us. 1,000 is 3,000. How's my math doing there?
Yeah,
I'm going to go bold here. My friends, if you have $10,000 to give, that means Catholic Answers will get $30,000. That's just a great investment of $10,000.
Yeah.
But also, my friends, any gift of any size, whether it's a one-time gift or a monthly pledge, is critical to the continued operation of this magnificent radio program. 888-291-8000.
And I have some good news to report based on the most latest figures I have on our whiteboard. We now need to make $5,000 to make it to this hour's match, and that brings us in line with where we are in the show, because we're 75% of the way through this hour and we're 75% of the way through the match. So for now, we're not behind the 8 ball anymore. We're right where we need to be, and we need to get that extra 25% of the way to the match. So we do need you to keep calling and keep going to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. The number to call is 888-291-8000. Once again, it's 888-291-8000. And we have received some larger gifts recently. Mike in Arizona gave us $1,000. Thank you so much,
Thank you, Mike.
Marianne donated $1,000 for her and her daughter. It says they usually come to our conference in September, but they can't make it this year, so they decided to donate instead.
Thank you, Marianne.
Which is awesome. Elizabeth in Pennsylvania gave $500, and that's, as y'all mentioned, that gets it into the triple match area.
Yes.
So that becomes $1,500 for us. So this is a really great opportunity that folks have if they're able to do 500 or more, like the 3 people I've just named. Those funds are going to be tripled for us. So that's a way to do triple the benefit that one would ordinarily be doing. So we do need to hear from you in order to make up this last $5,000. The number again is 888-291-8000. Once again, 888-291-8000.
8 lines open, my friends. Let's see if we can get that down to 0. Okay, 8 lines open. This is a great time to call. 15 minutes left in the hour. 888-291-8000. If the phone is not your favorite means of communication, go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can just type it on in. Though I will say...
It's perfect for introverts.
That's right. If you are an introvert, we have a system for you. Or text Catholic to 24365. But I really want to encourage you to call 888-291-8000. Why? Because you're going to actually talk to a Catholic Answers real live staff member. We don't have a call center. We don't hire anybody to do this. It's the whole staff is on the phones. And the other thing is we want to hear your story. So when you call with your pledge, 4 lines open. Let's get that to 0, my friends. 888-291-8000. When you call, tell whomever you get to speak with, what is it about Catholic Answers that changed your life? We want to hear your story.
We would love to hear your
3
story.
lines open, 2 lines open. Come on, 2 callers
We're
now.
so close to having everybody occupied here in the building.
888-291-8000.
888-291-8000.
1 line open.
Just 1 line to go. And I'll tell you what, if that line gets filled up, I will just go straight to a question.
Come on, I need one person to call, and then Jimmy can answer a question.
It's not going to make Chris feel good. If
that
goes
will.
Down to
I know.
0.
It'll also make the caller who's waiting to get his question answered.
Oh,
it went to 2.
No, it went the other way. It was 0-2. It was like that.
All right.
It was,
you go ahead. 888-291-8000.
888-291-8000. Let's go to Charlie in Wichita, Kansas, listening on 96.7 FM. Charlie, thank you so much for waiting. Go ahead with your question for Jimmy Akin.
Yeah, I appreciate all the work you guys do. The question I have is there seems to be this explosion of podcasts from exorcists and preternatural type of stuff
all of a sudden
involved in the Catholic faith.
You're on the air, Charlie. What's your question?
The glories and tales, Yeah, so there seems to be an explosion of podcasts about like demonology and exorcisms and stuff like that going on. And the question I have is a theme revolving around why are these entities so legalistic? Like what in that realm, and how does that connect to our faith, and is that shown anywhere? And like just why is that? And I can take a call off the air. So appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm aware of, this kind of set of podcasts and videos and things like that are being made by exorcists or devoted to exorcism. And I have to say that there are reasons for caution in this area, because one of the things you find when you study exorcism, which I do, is that the church's teachings in this area are not as extensive as many people think. And there's actually considerable disagreement within the community of exorcists about demons and what leads to possession and how you get them out and what's needed for that and what's not needed for that. And there are actually bunches of different theories in the community of exorcists on these questions. And I've been making a study of noting, okay, what are the different schools of thought and what do they claim and so forth. And I will be reporting on that in the future on Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World. But what I can say for now is the fact that there is such disagreement and diversity among exorcists about demons and what they do, how they do and don't work, that we need to just be very careful and not assume that what we're hearing from any one exorcist or any one group of exorcists is the absolute truth. What we have are a bunch of experience reports. Exorcist A will have certain sets of experiences, Exorcist B will have another set of experiences, and so forth. And one of the problems with experience reports is, in order to draw firm conclusions, you need to do statistical studies and see which experiences are typical and which are outliers, and no one's doing those studies. So as a result, the church has not commissioned a scientific study of possession experiences and arrived at, validated conclusions. It's all anecdotal, meaning it's just different people are expressing their opinions based on their experiences. That's one reason that we need to be careful here. And a second reason that we need to be careful here is demons are lying liars who lie. They are working for the father of lies. They've been liars since the beginning. And so consequently, if they think they can mislead Exorcist A by giving him one set of experiences and mislead Exorcist B in a different way by giving him another set of experiences, that's what they're going to do. So you fundamentally can't trust what they say. And that's another reason for caution in this area. So if you've been listening to a particular podcast or a group of exorcists who say demons are highly legalistic, well, I'd say that's interesting. But those are only experiences that you and maybe some others have reported, but that's not the universal experience. And B, these guys are trying to deceive you. So don't necessarily trust them in how legalistic they're coming off. In fact, if demons were super legalistic, they wouldn't have fallen in the first place. They'd still be rule-abiding angels up in heaven. They're lawbreakers by definition. And so the idea that they're kind of like Mr. Mxyzptlk in Superman comics, where, you trick them into saying their name backwards, they got to go back to hell for 90 days. That's very unlikely to be true. We're dealing with liars who are rule breakers. And so if they're coming across as we're so super legalistic, we never go where we're not allowed, and we'll definitely get out if someone tells us to legally. That's very unlikely to be true. That's something that should be looked at with, I'm not saying rejected, but with a considerable amount of suspicion.
Thank you so much for the call. We'll continue to take calls, and that number, if you'd like to get in and talk with the apologist, 888-318-7884. But the primary number we are giving out today is 888-291-8000, and that's the place to go and make your pledge. Chris asked for us to get all the lines filled up. It seemed to me that it did say 0 for a second, but I don't know. Some people seem skeptical about that.
Well,
but we
now
did really
the
well.
thing is now it says 10.
Yeah, so there's 10
so
lines
for
open.
whatever it said a while ago, now it says 10, so we need to get back down to 0, and we've only got about 3 minutes to do it. So maybe between...
However, what that means is we're now heading into a break that's going to be several minutes long, so no one's going to miss anything, and this will be the ideal time
Amen.
for people to call us, 888-291-8000, or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. You're not going to miss anything because we're not going to have time to take another call before the beginning of the next hour. So now is when we need to hear from you.
Cy, Jimmy, if I may, the question that Jimmy just asked, the question, yes, but the answer and the way that Jimmy gave the answer is, to me, like the note perfect example of why Catholic Answers Live is the magnificent program that it is. Jimmy answered what the church teaches and why she teaches it, and he didn't add to, or as our founder, Carl Keating, used to say, we don't add or detract from what the church teaches. We teach what she teaches and what she does not, nothing more or less. And especially in this world of social media and all kinds of online podcasting and personalities and things of this nature, weeding through all of those sometimes sensational opinions and clickbait, if you will, is a very difficult thing to do. This show absolutely cuts through that. That's why Catholic Answers Live is so trusted. All of the apostolate, Catholic.com, the books that we publish. So, my friends, you have confidence in supporting us, that you're supporting even-handed, thoughtful responses to questions as the church teaches, and always with joy and charity. 888-291 and expertise.
Yep.
As Jimmy points out, 888-291-8000. That's what you're getting in this show. And we deliver it every day, Cy. Every day we're on the air.
And what I've been trying to say earlier to this hour, and I will repeat it now as we come to the end of the hour, is what people are paying for when they pay for this is for us to give the show free to anyone in the world that wants it.
Yes.
So our job is to produce the absolute best program we can that does all the things Chris just described with people like Jimmy Akin, and then we just give it away free. And that's what you're making possible. So will you help us to continue to do that? Make sure that
5 lines open.
We can give it to whoever wants to broadcast it, 888-291-8000, or safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Great time to call over the break, 888-291-8000. You won't miss any Q&A, 5 lines open. You'll go straight to your call, and then you get back for the second hour.
Let's fill them up. Let's fill those lines up, 888-291-8000. And you know what, though? We will continue with Ask Me Anything the next hour. And one of the nice things about people calling so much this hour was we were able to allow Jimmy to do what he likes to do best, mostly.
Yes.
And I'd like to do that for the next hour. So if we'll come back, as soon as we come back, I'll let you know whether we made the match. I think were able to do that today. So what you can do right now is call 888-291-8000.
5 lines open.
888-291-8000. Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. Cy Kellett here with you. Halfway through now. We're halfway through. We take 3 days, totaling 6 hours to ask you for your financial support so we can continue to keep giving this show away free to anybody who wants it. And we are now 3 hours into that 6 hours. And we had a great hour last hour, because well, recently.
One of those.
Last hour was a great hour because Jimmy got to answer questions. And I hope we can do that with Tim Staples, our guest this hour, where we, if we can keep the fundraising pretty steady, then we can ignore it a little bit and go to do what folks want us to do, what the reason that folks tune in. Tim Staples, senior apologist here at Catholic Answers. He's the guy who wrote that book we always give away, Behold Your Mother, A Biblical and Historical Defense of the Marian Doctrines. Tim Staples, thank you very much for coming in here.
It is too good to be here.
I'm glad to hear it. And I should let folks know that if you want to talk with Tim, the number is 888-318-7884, 888-318-7884. Go ahead and fill those lines up because that is not the number I'm going to be giving out for most of the hour. At least part of each segment, we will be asking for pledges to help us to be fully funded. We have a $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match this hour, just as we have the previous 3 hours. We've got that $20,000 match, and we have not used up the money for the second match, which is a match where if you give $500 or more, we have a donor who will match it again. And we don't know when that money will run out, but it has not run out yet. So we're able to tell you about that. So if you come in and you at a $5, $10, $100 level, everything matched up to $20,000 this hour.
Wow.
888-291-8000. If you come in at $500 or above, everything matched twice. You get a double match. 888-291-8000.
Now this is a new thing.
Yeah, this is kind of new. I think we did it one time before.
I don't remember that. That is
Darren's
exciting.
shrugging. So even Darren doesn't
500 or bigger gets doubled?
Gets tripled, really, because
So
you get
tripled.
matched twice. Yeah, so if you give $1,000, it's going to be
becomes
matched by 2
$1,500.
different donors. So it becomes,
oh my goodness!
if you
No,
give 1,000,
I
it
don't
becomes
remember
3,000.
us ever having this. Maybe we have, but I don't remember it. This is exciting, folks. It's time to get on the phones. 888-291-8000. But you weren't finished.
No, I think I was finished. I was going to say
some
hello,
other
Tim
people
Staples.
have said you're finished. But
well, that's for a few years now. They've said that.
No, I have to say something though, Cy. Not only is this incredible because I have never heard of this incredible match here before. So up to $500 gifts are matched.
Everything matched. Yep.
Over $500 gifts.
Double matched.
Double matched. So that is effectively tripled, folks. You give $500, it becomes $1,500. You give $1,000, it becomes $3,000. This is
We probably should have
incredible.
told you this before you came on the air.
Yeah, oh
'Cause
my
I feel like we're
goodness.
kind of knocking you over.
I'm just going nuts here. This is incredible, folks. Pick up the phones. We need your help now at 888-291-8000. But I have to share with you, folks, I just got back from Wichita, Kansas, not one of my favorite conference anywhere in the world. There may be some bigger. Not many. There may be some
I know it's
bigger.
the big Catholic Family Conference, right? in
Family
Wichita.
Conference in Wichita. Bishop Kimmy there is just totally supportive. Yeah, I don't know. It's like over 250 volunteers. You've got the priests galore. Like I said, the bishop there. The liturgy is off the charts, gorgeous. The massive choir. I mean, it's incredible. But the main thing is this, it's about, I'm not good at numbers, but 3,000, 3,500, which is actually down. We haven't gotten back up to our pre-COVID numbers.
Yeah, everywhere. People are struggling with that.
Yeah, because our biggest was 5,500 years back. And Jennifer, who's in charge there, filled me in on that. So we were probably 3,000, 3,500. But let me tell you, these folks are on fire. And I can't tell you folks how many people came up to me. One fellow from Illinois, he's a convert because of Catholic Answers. He drove over 600 miles to see Tim Staples. And he wanted me not just to, he wasn't just for Tim Staples, but he wanted me to just tell everybody at Catholic Answers, thank you so much because that's why he's
Tim.
Catholic, right?
Yeah.
That's why he's Catholic. I had so many people testifying like that to me. thousands of people on fire, unbelievable. Plus, we have every year there, we have some Protestants who come inquiring, friends bring them. And it's just exciting. But once again, folks, it's Tim, oh my gosh, I'm Catholic because of God's grace working through you, working through Catholic Answers. Tell Jimmy Akin, tell Trent Horn. I hear it over and over again. Folks, that's what happens when you get Catholic radio up and running. Because it really has been. If you want to know the secret to the success of Catholic Answers, it is number one, the Holy Spirit working in and through his people. But folks, it has been radio. Catholic Answers has grown with radio. Am I right?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
That is simply a fact of what's happened since 1997 when we got into Catholic radio. And it is exciting to see the fruits of it when you get out to a big conference like that one in Wichita. And I told the folks there when I was asking for money there that there may be a few bigger, but there's none better than that conference right there. And they were just on fire. Folks, listen, I'm not really sitting in this chair. I'm actually floating off the ground right now because it's so exciting to see the fruits of the labor of Catholic Answers live, because so much when these people are coming up to me and say, tell them thanks, and this and that, what's undergirding it all is Catholic Answers Live.
Yeah.
Because that's where the folks hear about us. It's overwhelming. Now, of course, we have other media outreach, but I am just convinced that terrestrial radio is not dead, my friend.
No.
Like folks say, are you kidding me? It is alive and well and growing. But folks, we need to hear from you right now because we need your help. We've got, where's the thing about the people on the...
I'll tell you.
Okay.
I had a log. Oh, you talk
Okay.
for a minute. I'll log back in. Go ahead.
You got it. But folks, we need your help because we got a whole lot of open lines and we need to make this match. Can you pick up the phone right now and call 888-291-8000? Pick it up now. We need to make this $20,000 match, and we've got only one active call right now. So, folks, we need your help. We've got 11 open lines, 888-291-8000. We cannot let this great gift to the church ever disappear. We've got to make it stronger because not just Catholic Answers Radio, but Catholic radio is saving souls, my friend. One more time, 888-291-8000. We need to hear from you now.
888-291-8000. I'll tell you what, we'll go to the phones, and if you'll be kind enough to fill up the donation phones, I'll go to the other phones and let Tim answer questions. A long way to go. $20,000 in match money this hour. 11 phone lines open right now. 888-291-8000. Heading off to Washington, where Logan has been waiting patiently. Logan, God bless you. Thank you so much for waiting. Go ahead with your question for Tim Staples.
Thank you so much for taking my call. I would just like to ask what the church's official teaching on predestination is.
Yes.
Because it seems like when I read a little bit of Aquinas and Augustine, it seems like very close to like Calvin's view, and that took me off guard. So I was just wondering what the church's teaching is.
Oh, yes, and thank you for this call. Thomas Aquinas is about as far away from John Calvin as an orangutan is from an orange. Okay? Why do I
both
say
start with O.
Because we're talking about a substantial difference between the two. Now, with predestination, understand the Catholic position, for example, in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, section 1037, the church teaches, and I quote, God predestines no one to hell. In order to go to hell, one must freely commit a mortal sin and remain impenitent in it until death. Right? So the idea of John Calvin and the modern five-point Calvinists that God impels people to sin is absolutely insane to St. Thomas Aquinas. In fact, St. Thomas Aquinas clearly says, in fact, in the same question, now I want to say it's the Prima Secundae, I didn't pull it up here real quick, but in the Summa Theologiae, and I believe it's the Prima Secundae, the first part of the second part, and I believe it's question 112, St. Thomas, in the very question where people will take him out of context and claim, he denies free will, he clearly teaches in that same question that the first cause, and this is so important in understanding both Thomas Aquinas' position and the Catholic position, the first cause of salvation for us, and that's what we're talking, when we talk about predestination from a Catholic perspective, this is the very crucial point, that God is the initiator and he is the efficient cause. That is, he's the guy with the power to save us. We cannot save ourselves. So he goes before us. My goodness, I mean, think about baby. We baptize babies. Doesn't that show it? Babies just laying there pooping. That's all he's doing. And the priest, I shouldn't say that, but the priest pours water on that little baby's head, and what happens? He is born again, right? Incorporated into Jesus Christ, receives sanctifying grace, the right to all the other sacraments in accordance with his calling. And all he's doing, again, is just laying there goo goo gaga. I mean, that is predestination. That is, God goes before us and he shows his will for all to be saved. He goes before. In fact, there's never been a person that's ever been born that God does not will to be saved. He wills all to be saved, and he has a predestined plan that goes before us in order to empower us to be saved. So St. Thomas Aquinas says the first cause then of our salvation is God. He is the only one who has the power to save us. However, St. Thomas also says that the first cause of our damnation, the first cause of evil, moral evil, the first cause of sin is man. In that same question, he says, so the first cause of our salvation is God. He goes before us. He predestines us for salvation. However, he gives us this great gift of free will. And in his predestined plan of salvation, he includes in that plan, which, remember, to God, all things are now, right? There's no, when we talk about predestination, that term is a human term that we use looking up at God, because there is no predestination to God. There's no before, right? All things are now. And so his predestined plan is in the infinite now with regard to God, and it is absolutely settled. It's not, nothing's going to happen that God goes, oh, no.
I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't expecting that to happen, no. But it's within that predestined plan where God goes before us, giving us the power to be able to be saved, that he includes our free responses. And Thomas Aquinas clearly teaches this. Because clearly, again, the first cause of salvation is God, the first cause of evil, the moral evil, the first cause of sin, and the first cause of our damnation is us. See, John Calvin taught that when the devil fell, God impelled him to fall. When Adam fell, God impelled him to sin. Now, of course, that renders, this is why even John Wesley, referred to Calvin's theology as creating a monster out of God. That's exactly what he did. Because if God is the first cause of evil, what does that make him? Evil. We are the first cause of evil, Cy Kellett, and that makes us evil. That's why we go to confession, right?
Yeah.
All right, God doesn't need to go to confession, folks. There can be no evil, no moral evil in God. And so, my goodness, to say Thomas Aquinas or Augustine is anywhere near Calvin is simply false. Now, the mystery of iniquity, the mystery involved is a real mystery when we talk about God's predestined plan, because we can ask the question, why doesn't he just save everybody? Why doesn't he just reveal himself sufficiently to everyone that they would choose him? And that gets into the mystery of free will. And ultimately, we don't have the ultimate answer for that, but we do have sufficient answer in saying that God willed for there to be love, as you and I understand love. If God were to just simply overwhelm everyone to the point where they would choose him, then there would be no love. as God deigned there to be. Follow me on this, my friend. He created angels with that free will. There's something about this, Cy Kellett. He created angels. He created men, the only rational creatures we're aware of, all right?
All had free will.
Outside of God. They all had this free will. And as the Catechism of the Catholic Church says, it's that freedom that makes mortal sin possible as well as love itself possible, at least as we understand it. And so God could have created us, with no free will. He could, we just choose the good, and we're not really choosing, even if there were no freedom. Or he could overwhelm us to where we would, quote unquote, freely choose him. But is that truly free? And would that truly be love as we understand it? And that's the real question, my friend. And I believe, as the Catechism says, the answer is no. Love would not exist as we understand it if God simply overwhelmed everyone. But here, folks, questions like these, and we could spend the whole hour. And thank you so much for your call, brother. That's just scratching the scratch on the surface right there. But that's why we're here at Catholic Answers, to deal with questions like these, where you have heresies as grave as the double predestination of John Calvin that makes a monster out of God and deceives millions and millions of poor souls. And we have the fullness of the gospel. We need to get it to folks. And we need you right now, because we have no callers on the line right now. We need your help so that we can continue to present the fullness of the gospel. Please, folks, we need your help now at 888-291-8000, because we're falling way behind on our $20,000 match this hour. Please pick up the phone at 888-291-8000. Maybe you've been thinking about it for the last few drives. Well, now's the time. Pick up the phone, 888-291-8000. Or remember, you can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or you can text Catholic to 24365, but pick up that phone.
888-291-8000. We have a $20,000 dollar for dollar match this hour. We've still got about 18,000 of it left, if my numbers are the numbers that have been given to me are correct. So we do need you to pick up the phone and call. I want to thank a few people. Adam in Illinois gave $50 and asked for prayers for his family and the church. He said he loves you guys. Thank you very much, Adam. And he's excited to read The Faith Unboxed, because everyone who gives in any amount $50 or more receives the beautiful book, The Faith Unboxed by Andrew Petiprin, about how the Catholic faith just doesn't fit into any of the boxes you try to put it into. If you're able to make that $50 or more pledge right now, will you pick up the phone? 888-291-8000. 11 lines open right now. Perfect time to pick up the phone and call. Also, I want to thank Christine in Iowa. She gave in honor of her grandchildren, $200 in honor of her grandchildren. Thank you very much, Christine. And the thing that means a lot, because I do feel that one of the things that we're doing in Catholic media is where families were not able to reach kids, or kids got lost or confused. A lot of times they're getting their questions answered in Catholic media.
Amen.
And we'd love it if we could be helpful to your grandchildren, Christine. And we're very grateful that you are helpful to us. 10 lines open right now, 888-291-8000. I like this one. Kathleen came into the church at 65 years old back in 2017.
Wow.
And Catholic Answers, she says, was a huge part of her coming into the church. She lives in
Praise God.
Alaska, and she wanted us to know we're reaching people all the way up there, and she is so grateful. She gave us $1,000 plus the fees.
Wow.
And I don't know, there's Catholic radio up in Alaska. I don't know how Kathleen was listening, but wherever people are, they can get this program because our donors make it possible for us to give it away for free. 9 lines open right now, 888-291-8000. You are making it possible for Tim will back me up on this. Calls from Saudi Arabia,
Oh, my
calls from
goodness.
Turkey,
Yeah.
calls from all over Africa,
Yeah.
calls from Asia, some cities I couldn't pronounce the name of, calls
Yes.
calls from really weird foreign places like Alaska, and we're able to do that. 8 lines open now, 888-291-8000, because you produce this show, basically. You become the producers of the show when you give the money, and then we don't have to charge anybody for it. It can be on anybody's app or website. 888-291-8000.
Well, folks, I got to mention something real quick. Maybe you've already talked about this, Si, but we are now we've lost down to now 9.75 supporters per tower. Did you already talk about that?
We talked about it very little.
Very little. I'll tell you what, folks. This is a way for you to make an impact right now by picking up the phone at 888-291-8000. We used to be, I want to say 14 or 15 at the top.
Yeah, we got up to, Darren says yes. He always remembers these things.
It was 14 or 15 supporters per tower, and we are at a low. We have lost a lot of supporters. We're down to about 9.75. It was updated today of supporters per tower. And this is huge, folks. And you know, we pretty much know why. I mean, we've had 4.5 years of really bad economics in this country. And we know, we get the letters, and people tell me personally, I've had it multiple times, Tim, I would love to give, but I just can't, man. I mean, we are pinching pennies. I took a pay cut or whatever, and I just can't give. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of folks like that. So if you can, right now, be a first-time caller, you're going to be and become a supporter of Catholic Answers. You're going to help to raise that number, because that's everything, Si. If we get that 9.75 back up to 14 or 15, all of our problems go away.
We're good.
We are good to go. So we need you now at 888-291-8000 to be that supporter right there from your tower, one of those supporters at 888-291-8000. Understand also that because you have so many people who would like to and can't, if you can, my friends, please, the imperative is on you to call. Maybe you're already a giver. You're given $25 a month, let's say. If you can call now and double that, say 25 to 50, or if you're at 50, double it to $100 a month. Monthly gifts are our bread and butter. That's how we do what we do. We need you to call at 888-291-8000. And, of course, we need those big givers. My friends, we are going to, what I'm seeing here right now, we are going to need some big givers right now to push us over the line. We need that $10,000 giver right now. Now, am I right that if somebody gives $10,000, that is going to be double matched?
Yeah, no, yeah, 10,000. Yeah, right now there's a double match on.
I know.
That.
I'm sorry. I'm just wigging out
That's
on this.
That's $30,000. If you give $10,000 right now, it's $30,000 because of two other donors. Yeah,
that is absolutely incredible, folks. We need somebody right now to call and give that $10,000 gift. We need a $5,000 gift, and we need a bunch of $2,000 and $1,000 gifts right now at 888-291-8000. But, folks, we also need. Don't let I say this all the time, Si. Do not let the devil lie to you and say, well, they don't need my little $25 a month or my one-time $25. No, because that one-time $25 a month is doubled, all right? That one-time $100 gift, that one-time $250 gift, and that one-time $500 gift becomes $1,500. Folks, we have an opportunity here at 888-291-8000 to push us over the line here. Please, folks, we have 6 open lines right now. We need to fill those babies up. Let's keep the gospel going forth because, folks, let's face it, the Catholic Church, we Catholics are the only ones that possess the fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And there are very few of us on the airwaves. Am I right, Cy Kellett? Go to your dial and see how many Catholic stations there are. Right. Probably 1, maybe 2 out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, folks. We need your help to keep us healthy, keep us on the airwaves. 888-291-8000. Please pick up that phone right now.
I want to go back to calls and let Tim just answer questions, but a couple notes that involve our colleague, Dr. Carlo Broussard. He just texted Darren and he said James, who's in OCIA there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was Protestant, and Catholic Answers podcast totally convinced him of the truth of the Catholic Church.
Beautiful.
Carlo, thanks for reaching out to us to share that story.
Amen.
Here's another one that involves Carlo. John from Ohio. He drives an old car. For 15 years, you don't drive an old car, do you, Tim, by any chance?
Yes, I do.
John from Ohio drives an old car. For 15 years, he listened to Protestant FM radio. even though he was Catholic. The scripture theology started to make sense to him. Well, last year he was in a tornado that hit and brought 3 inches of rain to his car. After that, his car only got AM radio, which led him to 1260 AM, The Rock, and Catholic Answers Live. And it helped answer many of his questions, including his conflict that he had with purgatory. And now he's reading Carlo Broussard's book, Purgatory is for Real. What a beautiful story.
Beautiful.
Hey, sometimes it takes a tornado to get you to wake up and pay attention to the Catholic Church.
Amen,
But if
folks.
that's what it takes, that's what it takes. John, God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. 7 lines open. Perfect time to call. We're going to be on a break for a couple minutes. 888-291-8000, a $20,000 match. 888-291-8000.
Amen.
Catholic Answers Live would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners in airing our daily program. Please support the stations and networks that carry us each day, ensuring that we have a platform for broadcasting the show. And please bear in mind that while we do not have to pay for airtime on our affiliate stations, neither do they contribute to the operating costs we incur. It's a great relationship, but it requires that we turn to you, our devoted listeners, for your prayers and financial support to cover our ever-growing expenses. Please call 888-291-8000 right now and help to keep Catholic Answers Live strong. That's 888-291-8000. Or you can donate securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. What began as a humble 1-hour daily show that was carried by 4 radio stations has, with the generosity of many fantastic people like you, blossomed into a 2-hour broadcast heard on hundreds of AM and FM stations, the internet, Sirius XM radio, Facebook, YouTube, and via podcast. We don't make that possible, you do. We simply cannot continue this media mission without your most generous gift today. Call 888-291-8000 or log on to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and donate now. People tell us all the time how much they depend on Catholic Answers Live to help them better learn, live, and share their faith. What they're really saying is they depend on you for that. Will you come through for them right now? It only takes a couple of minutes to make a huge difference at 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Again, 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. No matter how much you give, be assured of our gratitude and know that God will richly bless you. Phone 888-291-8000 or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. It's important that you take this important step right now, today, to make sure that Catholic Answers Live is here tomorrow and for years to come. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Welcome back. Catholic Answers Live, a little bit of groovy music. Thanks to everybody who called over the break. Lines fill up but are getting open again. So if you're ready to make your call, 888-291-8000. I don't have a current update on where we are as far as meeting the match, but we've still got a long way to go to meet that match. Tim Staples, our guest, and we only come to you 4 times a year, just for 6 hours. And when we let Tim and Jimmy and Carlo do their regular job during those 6 hours. But I want to play a little testimony for you from somebody, a listener to Catholic Answers Live, because we do like to joke around, we like to have fun, all that kind of stuff, but it's serious business, and it's making a difference. The name of Jesus is serious. The message of friendship with Jesus through the sacraments of the Catholic Church, the most important message in the world, and you're making it possible for us to share that message. So let's just listen to a little testimony for a few seconds.
Hi, my name is Adrian, and I'm from San Jose. And let me tell you, Catholic Answers has helped me so much. Tim Staples, with his knowledge and being able to go back and think in the mindset of what Protestants are thinking and how to overcome their objections. Man, this show is one of the best things I've ever came across my entire life. Trust me, if you pay attention, listen, you will find the Lord, and I will see you in heaven. Can I get an amen?
Amen. Yeah, well, our mics were down, but amen, Adrian. Amen.
I met him somewhere. I don't know if it was this weekend or a weekend before, but man.
You recognize that? Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Can we hire that guy? Can he come be a full-time fundraiser for Catholic Answers?
Yes.
I feel like whatever he's selling, he's doing well.
That's Holy Spirit power right there,
man. Oh my gosh, that's
Holy
beautiful,
Spirit
Adrian.
Power.
He's right. He's right.
Amen.
Yeah, he is right. And thank you, Adrian, for the testimony. 888-291-8000. 8000 is the number to call. Or you can go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. When you call, you are talking to our colleagues right here in the building with us. So if you want to share a message, they'll get the message to us. If you'd like it on air, we'll get it on air. But just like this one, Claudia called to donate today because she heard a caller from Slovenia yesterday. And she has family in Slovenia and a nephew there now with a young family. And when she heard that we're trying to get apologetics going and support the apologetics going in Slovenia, she said she knew she had to call and donate. She picked up the phone and just called 888-291-8000. Claudia, thank you. Thank you so much for that.
And you know what, folks? Why should you call? For the salvation of souls.
Amen, brother.
This is why we are here, is to bring people from the darkness of sin to the light of our blessed Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And it's also about saving souls in the sense of bringing people to the fullness of the gospel. Do you know, Cy Kellett, how many millions and millions of souls? They're Christians. They love Jesus. But they don't have all the weapons for their warfare that God wants them to have to get to heaven. I am grateful to God for a young Marine named Sergeant Matt Dula who reached out to me. Otherwise, I would not be here. I would still be out there shouting against the Catholic Church instead of sitting where I am because of that man. That's one of the most important things we do, Chris Check, is we bring people to the fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ as well. We bring people from no faith to faith, but we also bring millions of those souls, hundreds of thousands over the years, certainly. I don't have a magic wand to know exactly the numbers.
We're going to find them on the other side of the veil,
Yes,
Tim.
we will.
And I'm glad you brought this up because I think of this quite a bit. Our separated brothers and sisters in the Protestant churches, if they want to get their sins absolved, I mean, they can certainly pray to God and hope that He does.
Amen.
But as our friend G.K. Chesterton said, I became a Catholic because it was the one church that said it would absolve me of my sins. And when you hear those words, in fact, I get chills just talking about it. Anyone knows, everyone who's ever heard those words, I absolve you of your sins. And the confidence that you feel and the relief that you feel. And there are so many Christians and non-Christians, people out there who are burdened by their sins. My friends, the sacrament of confession is available to them. Yes. Now, how are they going to find out about the sacrament of confession? They're not just going to, they may not even know it exists. But there is a means for them to be absolved. But they're going to flip on the radio because a tornado turned their car only into an AM receiver or whatever it was there. Amen. And they're going to learn about the sacrament of confession, where they're going to find out 888-291-8000. They're going to find out that they can get their sins absolved and be relieved of that burden. And then they're going to want to tell other people about it. We were talking about Paul VI yesterday, Evangelii Nunciandi. And, yeah, and I know you're going to talk about that at our conference, Tim. 11 lines open. Let's get this down to zero, my friends. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. What Paul VI says. Look, if you've heard the word of God, if you answered it, the word of God and said yes, how can you not?
Amen.
Now, share. So I ask you that, my friends. 10 lines open. 888-291-8000. A lot of you have heard the word of God. A lot of you said yes. You've benefited. You've heard. You've received in body, blood, soul, and divinity in the sacrament of the altar. You've had that absolution in sacramental confession, maybe from grave sin, right? 888-291-8000, and you felt that relief. Don't you want that for the rest of the world? Of course you do. Amen. Of course you do. So make Catholic Answers able to continue to spread the word, the love and mercy of Jesus Christ, the fullness of the truth, the grace of His sacraments. 888-291-8000.
Tim, I want you to answer a question.
Let's do it.
I tell you what, I wanted to
Can you want me to answer the question?
Yes, I want you to answer it too. But you turn off your mic and answer it, and you keep your mic on and answer it. And
8 lines open.
888-291-8000. I feel bad about this because Sherry in Washington is disabled, and she's listening on Holy Sanctifier Radio, and was not able to stay on the line. And I apologize for that, Sherry. It was my fault. I didn't get to you quick enough. But as a disabled person, she wants to know, is it okay for me to practice chair yoga?
Right. Sherry, great question. And the answer is yes and no. It's no if you are practicing yoga that includes any spirituality. The Catholic Church has condemned of course, yoga. The spirituality of yoga is simply Hinduism. That is a a world religion that is the antithesis of Catholicism. So, no. But the church has also condemned any sort of hybrid spirituality as well. Well, I'm Catholic, but I'm also going to employ this Eastern spirituality. No, the church condemns that. But what the church does not condemn is simply using the stretches. The devil does not own, if you could see me, I don't know if anybody has a camera, this position. Okay, you can do this, but you can't do this.
No, right.
No. The Catechism of the Catholic Church in section 2111 and 2112 has a name for that. That's called superstition. Yeah. That's a belief that something has spiritual efficacy from the external performance of an act rather than the inward spiritual necessities involved. I forgot the word that the Catechism used there. But you have to have the inclinations of the Spirit in order for something to be either meritorious in a positive way or for you to be culpable for it on the negative scale. So if you're doing exercises, my friends, simply exercises, that's okay. But you know what? These are important questions, Si, that folks have. And one thing that I always appreciated about Catholic Answers before I was even here, Chris Check, is the way Carl Keating and Jimmy Akin and all of the apologists, all down through Patrick Madrid, and of course our team today, that's the best anywhere. I mean, the guys we have right now, Carlo, Joe, Jimmy, give me a break.
Now Tom Nash full time.
And Tom Nash. I mean, these guys are locked on. But that was the thing, is the Catholic Answers crew was always about Catholic answers. Not Chris Check's opinions or Cy Kellett's opinions or Tim Staples' opinions, but what is it that the Catholic Church teaches? Because it is the truth that makes people free, not opinions, my friend. Please, in order for us to continue to proclaim this fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ that we alone possess as Catholics, we need you to help right now at 888-291-8000. We need you to call. We need some big callers in order to meet this match. We are going to need that $10,000 giver right now. Maybe we have a $5,000 giver. I think we do. Let's get some $2,000 givers, $1,000. And remember, those are tripled. I still can't believe it because it's matched twice.
You're right.
That means tripled.
That's tripled, yeah.
You give $10,000, it becomes 30. You give $5,000, it becomes 15,000, folks. We need your help. And we also need everybody's help because it's going to take a team effort to make this, folks. We need everybody. $25. You know what, Chris? Somebody's saying right now, well, they don't want my $25 gift. Yes, we do, because that gets doubled as well. But we need all of us at 888-291-8000. That $25 gift, $50, and especially those monthly gifts, my friend.
I'm glad you said
$25 a month, $50 a month.
I'm glad you said the monthly gifts, Tim, because somebody's saying, okay, I can give $25. So here's my question. Can you give $25 a month? Because I think you probably can. If you can give me $25, Catholic Answers, not me. If you can give Catholic Answers $25 this month, I feel like you could probably do it every month and not even know that you're doing it. But what that $25 means to us is $50 for the next 12 months. So what's 50 times 12? Can you help me with that?
600.
Very good.
What's up?
So,
You've heard me say it so many times.
yes. So 8 lines open now, my friends. 888-291-8000. I would like to just challenge everyone listening who hasn't called in yet. How about this? I've never called Catholic Answers Live. Today I'm going to do it. 7 lines open. I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to do a position that is completely legitimate and moral. It's called the pick up the phone position. That's okay to do. The Catechism says that's
Amen,
okay.
brother.
The pick up the phone position, and you bring it up to your ear, and you dial 888-291-8000. I'm going to become a monthly giver to Catholic Answers. So $10 a month, $15 a month, $25 a month. I promise you will not miss it, but it will mean double that every month to us. 8 lines open, 888-291-8000. We count those monthly gifts out 12 months towards our goal. That's going to help us get to this $20,000 goal. 888-291-8000. CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Yeah, I always think of St. Paul to the Philippians, chapter 4, verses 18 and 19, where he praises the Philippians for their gifts that they gave to his apostolic labor. And he talks about how their gifts are as gifts ascending up before the throne of God. What does that mean?
Of course they are.
That means those are salvific gifts. These aren't just gifts that, oh yeah, okay, I'll give some money. You're talking about participating in the salvation of souls. And in the act, that self-abnegation involved in giving, you are meriting before God for all eternity. And that's what St. Paul is reminding the Philippians here, that their gifts are sacrificial offerings acceptable to God. So you talk about a win-win. You're saving your own soul as well as as well as other people's souls. Why? Because in giving, you really do. This isn't just hyperbolic language. This is not hyperbolic language. You participate in all the fruits of all the labors of all the apologists and all these folks here, 50 or whatever, however many, 48 people that are working day in and day out for the salvation of souls. You partake in their labors.
888-291-8000 is the number. I
What
have
is that
to take
number?
a quick break.
888-291-8000.
We're going to be, this break is very short, just a few seconds, and then we will be back. There's 9 lines open right now. Claudia wanted me to correct something. Somebody sent me the note wrong. Her family's not from Slovenia. They're from Slovakia.
Oh, that was a bad mistake,
I apologize.
Sai.
Prepakte. We'll be right back with more Catholic Answers Live.
Catholic Answers Live.
Who was the first Catholic in your family? Were they evangelized by a friend, a coworker, a stranger? Did you ever think that you could be that person that God uses to save a soul? And that soul could save their family, their grandchildren, and generations to come. At St. Paul Street Evangelization, a Catholic nonprofit, we train, equip, and mobilize Catholic disciples to do the urgent work of evangelization. Catholic Answers is supported in part by St. Paul Street Evangelization, streetevangelization.com.
Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. 17 minutes to go to the top of the hour. $16,000 to raise to meet our match for this hour.
8 lines open.
It's a long way to go, but we can do it. 888-291-8000. We've still got questions to give for Tim Staples. Those lines still have questions on them. But we do want to remind you again, we are now well more than halfway through this hour, and we've got a lot of money still to raise to use up the match for this hour. $16,000 in match available. So if you are one of those folks who can do one of those larger gifts, maybe you can do $500 or $1,000. Some people can do $2,500. There are some who can do $5,000 or $10,000. If you can do that, we are now 16 minutes away from the top of the hour, and we are in need of your help. 888-291-8000.
Can I ask Tim a question real quick here, Si?
That'd be good. Yes.
Would I be allowed to do that?
All right, Chris from El Cajon. I'll write it down on the sheet. Chris.
888-291-8000. There's 9 lines open, my friends. Let's fill them up while I ask Tim this question. So, Tim, here's my question. People are listening to the program and they're saying, why do you guys have to make this about money? Why does the church always have to be asking for money? Why is money involved? Boy, you're kind of just making it sort of like distasteful, always talking about money. Well, first of all, we're not. We do it, as Si says, 6 hours a quarter, something like that. So it isn't all the time. Most of the time we're answering questions. I'm going to tell you how I would answer this, but then I know you're going to give a better answer. I would say the reason is we could charge people for the program.
Right.
We could say if you want to listen to this show, you have to come through this paywall at Catholic.com or whatever it is. But the reality is we want to give it away to as many people as possible. We want the freedom of the gospel to be given away for free.
Amen.
All right. However, it does cost, what did we say, about $880,000 a year to operate the show, which frankly is a bargain. Considering
if people know anything about media, that is so little money for the
9
number of
lines open.
hours we produce.
But
I don't think anyone else should do it.
But Tim, help me respond to people say, why should the Catholic Church have to be asking for money?
Again, the salvation of souls, Chris. Because if you think prayer, fasting, almsgiving.
Yes.
This wasn't just created last week by Catholic Answers, right? We go back to the book of Tobit, chapter 4, verse, 12, right, 11 or 12. Behold, give alms, and all things are clean to you. Jesus references that in Luke's gospel when he says, give alms, and all things are clean unto you. Yes, he did reference
the book of Tobit.
The book of Tobit. That's right.
Tell all my Lutheran friends.
That's right. Prayer, fasting, almsgiving are necessary for our salvation. Alms has a particularly important role in our salvation when it comes to these great opportunities we have, because really you're giving of yourself. It's sacrificial. You've heard the old saying, put your money where your mouth is, right? Because your money is so crucial for you to feed your kids, take care of everything. Giving of that means something. And that's what God wants. God wants us to give of ourselves. And I will tell you, man, money is something that when you give, if you give a lot, it hurts.
Yes.
But you know what? The crucifixion hurt.
Yes.
And so that's what I would emphasize is that we're talking about the salvation of souls, and giving you the opportunity. The church asks every Sunday for you to drop money in the hat there. Why? For the salvation, for lots of other reasons. But number one, Chris, is what we're about here, salvation of souls. And so there again, when you call right now at 888-291-8000, you are saving your own soul, my friends.
And the souls of others.
By giving these gifts right now at 888-291-8000, but you're also participation in the salvation of other people's souls as well. This is why St. Paul would say in Colossians 1:24, I fill up that which is lacking in the sufferings of Christ in my body for his body, which is the church. All manner of suffering, my friends, joined to the sufferings of Christ, contributes to your salvation and the salvation of others. But the giving of alms is a particular and powerful way to do it.
My friend, there's 8 lines open now. Let's get these to 0, please. 888-291-8000. We've only got about 10 minutes left in this hour, and we've got a ways to go on this match. 888-291-8000. Tim, I love your answer. I'm going to tell you why. I think almsgiving is just the one that we don't think about these days.
That's right.
We think about prayer, and some people have really great prayer lives. Okay, yeah, we think about prayer and fast. And, of course, fasting is really popular now with the intermittent fasting and all that. Oh, I'm on that and everything. Intermittent
Make
fasting.
you look good.
That's right, yeah. But I think almsgiving is just the one that people don't really think about. And my friends, I'm encouraging you to think about it and think very, very hard about, as Tim says, making a gift that you are going to feel.
Amen.
You're going to feel. And we're going to feel it too, because it's going to keep this show going on. And the people who hear it and who are brought to the fullness of the sacraments as a consequence of the program, they're going to feel it too.
And you know what, Cy and Chris?
6 lines open. Let's get to 0. 888-291-8000.
People ask the question about tithing all the time. And, the church has, at the Fourth Lateran Council, used the term tithing. But tithing in a New Testament context doesn't mean the same of to take a tenth in the Old. Why? Because God loves, St. Paul says it in 2 Corinthians 9, verse 5 and 6. God loves a cheerful giver, not of necessity, not like with a club over your head, but he wants us to give out of love and because we understand the gravity of the situation. I think, Cy Kellett and Chris Check, we don't communicate the gravity of the situation enough. Folks, souls are on the line. That's why you want to give, and you should be cheerful about it. St. Paul's. So when you pick up the phone to call right now at 888-291-8000, smile. Before you even talk to the person that's going to talk, smile, because you have an awesome opportunity to give for the salvation of souls. Again, 888.
6 lines open.
291-8000. And remember, you can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. You can text Catholic to 24365. But we need your help right now. Let's get that $5,000 giver, that $10,000 giver. And a whole lot of us can give that $25 a month, $50 a month right now. 291-8000. That is 888.
5 lines open.
291-8000. Yes, we still have 5 lines open.
And there's just $15,000 to go in the next 10 minutes. $14,000 to raise in the next 10 minutes. That has been done before. We do need people to take seriously our call, to pick up the phone and call 888-291-8000. For everyone who gives until we use up that last $14,000, it's 100% match on your gift. And we still have the money left for the second match. For anyone who gives $500 or more, there's a second match. Your money is essentially tripled. Tim just said it. We need some larger donations to come. People have been very generous picking up the phone to call, but this is one of those things where we found it again and again.
4
in
lines.
order to be fully funded, we need those larger gifts mixed in with all the other gifts that come. Can you do that? 888-291-8000. I don't know if you want to do another call or you
Let's
want
do it.
All right, you be quick.
I will be
All right,
quick.
that's our order. You be quick. Shelly in Seattle, Washington, listening to EWTN on Channel 130, Sirius XM satellite radio. Thank you for the call, Shelly. Go ahead with the question.
Hi, I'm talking to you on the car radio. Are you getting?
Well, we were for a second. Shelly, I don't know what happened. You said, are you getting? And we were, and then we're not. Are you there, Shelly?
Did we lose Shelly? You know what? I can
Okay.
ask. We've got her question here. She said, why did Jesus go to hell as stated in the creed? So, Shelly, if you're listening, why did Jesus go to hell? The same reason we've all been talking about here, for the salvation of souls. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 19 tells us that Christ descended, after his death, he descended into hell and proclaimed the gospel to those Old Testament saints who were there, the Old Testament righteous who were awaiting. They could not possess God in the beatific vision until Christ went down and liberated them. So why did Jesus go into hell, Chris Check? For the salvation of souls. That is what this whole thing is about, my friends, and this is why you need to call right now.
He did it.
We've only got
He did it quickly.
a few minutes
Well,
left.
that was quick.
That
And
was
we
quick, yeah.
do need your help at 888-291-8000. Let's not leave this $14,000 hanging. Let's get that $10,000 caller
My
at
friends-
888-291-8000. And all the rest of us, we have 5 open lines. All of us together can make this.
These are true matches, my friends. We get them when we meet the when we meet the gift, when we meet the challenge. It's not like the fellow put up, "Oh, I'm challenging everybody."
Right.
No, that's not it. We have to meet the gift in order. We have to meet the challenge in order to get the gift. And we've got 3 lines open now, and we've got about 5 minutes left in the show. 2 lines open. 888-291-8000. Let's get this to 0 lines open, please. 888-291-8000. Perfect time to make a $500 or $1,000 gift because those are going to be tripled.
That is
1
awesome.
line open.
Awesome.
888-291-8000. All right, you out there, Mr. $1,000, $2,000 giver, you've been waiting for your chance. There's a line open right now. Pick up the phone, 888-291-8000. Your gift is, there we go, 0 lines open. Please
So
keep,
they could go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com or
Right.
text Catholic to 24365 and keep calling as well.
888-291-8000. We don't get the match until we make it.
Perry-
Cy Kellett.
Perry, I just want you to know this, Tim. Perry called. He was driving, and he made a donation while driving. Don't do that, Perry. But thank you very
Great job, Perry.
Thank you, Perry. He was so excited. He finally got to donate while Tim is on. Every time he's tried previously, he couldn't get through. So today he got through. So
1 line
that's for
open,
you.
5 minutes left,
Perry.
2 lines open, 5 minutes left, my friends.
bless you,
888-291-8000.
Travis in Grand Rapids, Michigan donated $51 after doing his budget today. He and his wife are grateful for the huge impact, he said, Catholic Answers Live
Praise
made on
God.
them,
Praise
which
God.
led them to come into the church last December. Their newborn son was baptized at the same time. Travis, what a beautiful testament.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you so much.
God will
for
reward
that.
you. Congratulations, Travis.
Hey, now's a good time if you can do it. Just to text Catholic to 24365. You can make your pledge that way. Or you can just go safe and secure online, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. We're coming into the last minute of the show.
Wow.
People will stay answering the phone
Amen.
as long as the phones continue to ring. But if you can use the computer, please do that. There are now 2 lines open, 888-291-8000. We're down to $12,000 left in the match. So we're making progress. Go ahead, Tim.
I got to share a little story, folks. At Wichita, Kansas, this past weekend, I met a young man comes up to me, and he goes, "Tim, you may not remember," and I did. I remembered his face. He said, "I first met you. I was in 7th grade at Wichita here, at the kids program. You so inspired me." He was standing there in a Roman collar.
Glory to God.
He was
wow.
ordained for the
Wow,
Diocese
Tim
of
Staples.
Wichita just 2 years ago. And you know what, folks? That is what happens when you support Catholic Answers
Amen.
Live. Because this works into everything.
3 lines open, 888-291-8000. Please be generous, folks.
We're under 10,000 to raise now. As I said, we'll continue to answer the phones as long as the phones continue to ring. So there are 3 lines open now. Fill them up, 888-291-8000. Just 2 lines now. If you have any trouble getting through, just keep dialing because as soon as a line opens up, the computer will send you right to one of our colleagues here in the building. CatholicAnswersRadio.com or 888 291 8000.
Keep calling, folks.